everyone, and welcome finally to the Batman vs. Superman Spoilercast. Oh, excuse me.
It's V.
Dawn of Justice Spoilercast.
It's not versus, it's V.
Oh, did I say versus? Oh, I've ruined it. Okay, let's start again. Hello, everyone.
You ruined the title.
I've ruined it. And welcome to the Batman v Superman, wait for it, Dawn of Justice Spoilercast. I am Captain Logan, and happy to be back on a live show. It's been a few weeks, and first of all, I want to thank the Crisis team for handling Crisis without me the last few weeks. They've been absolutely fantastic, and thanks a lot for the break, because it's been really nice to focus on other things, you know, like this movie. It's been so nice to focus on this movie. Let's introduce the panel before we get started. So as always, live Spoilercast. Feel free to leave comments on the regular. I'll say this real quick on the regular comment stream in YouTube, and ask us questions and leave your comments that you'd like us to read and respond to about how you felt about the movie and different aspects of it that you'd like to make sure that we tackle. We'll let you help us direct the conversation. You can also chat amongst yourselves and talk about whatever craziness you want to in the blue chat, which is also in the description. Without further ado, it is my acting captain for the last 4 weeks. It's Steve Baxi.
Hello, everybody.
And more curious than ever, it's the Curious Low.
Hello.
The bandana king of the world, Jackson Rasco.
Well, here I am.
And the Manos of the hour, it's the real Manos.
That's right. Bring it on, babies.
And in a rare, I mean often appearance, Dan Torrey.
Howdy.
And finally, Eric blows himself up, dude. Does not have a fate.
Here we are now. Entertain us.
See, I kept sitting it. I set that up like I was going to use your last name, then I was like, nobody knows Eric Holden's last name.
Now they do.
They do now. Well, if you were trying to keep it that way.
Stalking begins.
I'm sorry for letting
Martha? I thought we were the
cat out of bed.
What does that mean?
Why would you say that?
So.
Wait, it's not Martha. I gotta leave right now. We're not friends anymore.
So first of all, this is maybe the largest panel we've ever had for a spoiler cast. So I'm going to do my level best to rein this in and make sure that everybody gets to say their piece and that we cover the gambit of stuff without getting too far off track. This is the main Geeklution crew, folks that we've been using for the last several years, and Eric has been finally coming back and making videos with us again. We're so excited to have him. He doesn't have a webcam right now, which is why he's a disembodied voice, but he is going to be getting his webcam back pretty soon, and then when you see him on the channel, you will actually get to see his face some. It's going to happen. So he's not Zordon. Well, even Zordon has a head, but he's not like, you know,
yeah,
he's not just a voice.
He's got in Power Rangers the movie, he's got a whole body.
That's true. Yeah.
Wait. If Eric is Zordon, does that make us the teenagers with attitudes?
Yes.
You're really trying to stick to that youth thing, right, Manos?
That's right.
I want to thank everybody for joining live that's here right now. I think we have already, looking at the numbers, we just started a couple minutes ago, and I think we've already come close to breaking our record for live numbers. So thanks a lot for being here, folks. And we're going to start chatting about Batman v Superman. First of all, I want to mention that I'm wearing the closest thing that I could come up with to a Kryptonian morning garb. This is my Death of Superman bathrobe, and this should reflect my mood about this entire experience. I will go last to leave people in suspense to know how I feel about the movie, having seen it a second time, after possibly the most awkward how we felt about in the history of that show.
I felt awkward watching it. I was like, oh, I feel like my friends are fighting.
You can freeze frame and pinpoint the moment Cap's heart breaks.
People sent me messages. They asked me if I was okay. People left comments. They said things like, "That's okay. Fight him. It's just Steve Baxi."
You know, it might have been a little less sad if you weren't wearing that suit.
What, the suit made it Where it looked like I was so excited to be there and then slump. Anyway. So I would like to start with I want to start with Dan, because we haven't seen Dan on the channel in a while, and I love listening to Dan talk. And Dan, as we all know, hates Batman more than he hates anything. So
Yes.
no, I'm totally kidding. That's not true. But I think it would be fun to bookend. I said I'll go last. I will kind of go last. Let's bookend this with the with the debaters from the Batman Spider-Man debate, and we'll start with Dan Torrey. Dan, as we always like to do on the Spoilercast, give us kind of a general, like walking out of the theater, what your impression was, and then your best thing and a worst thing. And for those of you that think this is the worst thing that has ever happened in the history of geekdom, you still got to come up with a best thing. You do. You got to come up with one. Go ahead, Dan.
Well, I didn't really have a dog in this fight, like I guess most other people did, because this is a movie that had been anticipated for a long time, and it was cool to see like the two characters in the same movie in live action, but it wasn't like something I'd been waiting like years to see or anything like that. So I went into the movie just kind of hoping that it was an enjoyable experience, and it was, because me and my friends laughed through the whole movie. I thought it was one of the worst movies I've seen in a long time in the theater. It was really cheesy and over the top and an incomprehensible mess most of the time. It was really boring for about the first half. The only way I was able to like stay awake was by laughing at like some of the cheesy like score beats and some of the dialogue with my friends. And I've seen it twice. I saw it once with them, and then I had made plans to see it with my cousin after that. And I didn't joke around as much with him, and I did doze off a little bit at the beginning. So it's not like a very good movie at all. So my worst thing is just kind of probably the editing, because I don't think the scenes flow well together. It's not a very well-paced movie. It's kind of a mishmash of things, and I was completely lost as to what was happening in some scenes, maybe because I'm not a big DC Comics person. Like, I was talking to someone that I know that reads a lot of this stuff, and they were saying, like, oh, Batman's dream within a dream, where the Flash sent an alternate universe memory into Bruce's first dream level was something that's happened before. I was like, I don't care. It makes no sense to me. So that was probably the worst thing, and the best thing was probably just some of the visuals in the movie. Like, Zack Snyder, if anything, knows how to make shots look really good. I liked that he didn't do the whole shaky cam thing from Man of Steel, and that there were some images in the movie that I thought were really powerful, especially like the one where Superman is saving the people at the Day of the Dead parade, and there's this kind of crowd of people dressed as skeletons kind of touching him like a god, and the movie tries to be about Superman confronting his mortality, so that's a cool shot to have in the movie if the story made sense. But yeah, that's probably my best thing.
Let's hear from the Curious Low.
All right, so my best thing, since we've already sort of touched on the visuals, I guess I'll go more into some like story stuff. My best thing, I think, is Wonder Woman, even though she was not very much in this movie. That goes to show you how much I liked the story. I really personally enjoyed kind of seeing her. I've always been very interested in Wonder Woman, but don't know a lot, so this has sort of inspired me to maybe get into some of her comics and stuff. But I really liked it. I know that a lot of people were saying that she sort of came out of nowhere. I went into the movie expecting that, so maybe it felt, since I was looking for her, that I spent the whole time being like, oh, that's Wonder Woman, like, oh, what is she doing? So I was very interested in that. Worst thing is probably just oh man, I'm struggling here. One worst thing, it's the plot work, I guess. I don't know how to like boil it down into a more concise term. But there were multiple times in the movie that I found myself being like, how did we get here? And like, who talks to who? Why is everybody looking for the spear all of a sudden without nobody having talked to each other? That one really made me mad because I just didn't get how it was happening. And definitely as I exited the theater, the more I thought about the movie, the more angry it made me at how lazy I felt the plot work was. So that's my worst.
Okay, let's get Manos' take next.
Thank you, Logan. I have issued...
Back to you, Manos.
Yes, thank you. I have prepared a statement, and it is a public apology on behalf of all of geek culture to Joel Schumacher. I, on behalf of everyone in geek culture, apologize for just about everything we've said about you and your talent in your 2 Batman movies. Granted, Batman and Robin is still the worst Batman movie made, but you were managed to make a live-action Batman film without having Batman murder people. Congratulations. You actually performed a dream sequence in Batman Forever that is actually better than the one that's in this film.
Which one?
The one where little Bruce Wayne falls through the hole during his parents' funeral. There's
one
actually
of them is the same dream sequence.
It's the same dream sequence. Yes, Joel Schumacher did it better. And on behalf of everyone in geek culture, I apologize. The film, it's probably the longest Linkin Park video I've ever seen. But I will grant you the stuff that works. You know, like Lo mentioned, the Day of the Dead sequence is really cool. Some of the ideas that it just throws away would have been fascinating. All the performances are really great. Cavill, Ben Affleck, Irons, Godot, everybody. They do a good job performing this material. The material itself kind of lets them down. The worst thing, if I had to pick one single thing instead of going all over by saying the plot, the script, I would have to say the Mad Max Batman scene, which did not end. It was actually probably as dumb as the Batman credit card. And unfortunately, it went on 10 minutes longer than the Batman credit card scene. It even has like a story break and an epilogue, and it's really pointless. It's frustratingly pointless. Thank you.
Manos, I'm glad you were able to be here to give your statement. You have a good night.
Thank you.
Let's hear from Eric.
My first reaction to this film, like literally the second the credits hit, I turned to my friends and I said, how was this film allowed to happen? I would argue this is not a film. Up until maybe there's a big explosion, the one where people die, we're allowed to know people die, or even the fight between Batman and Superman, you can rearrange most of these scenes in almost any order. And it would watch mostly the same, and I feel like I would understand it about the same. I don't even understand how I don't understand how a film this unconstructed was allowed to be released in theaters. There are scenes in this that begin and end as logically as scenes in The Room. I was bored, and I thought that was a unique experience to me, because about halfway through I wanted to leave. I didn't care. I'm not angry at this movie. I'm apathetic. I don't care, and I wanted to leave. And I thought I was alone, and then I've listened to some podcasts, and Steve also said the same thing. That seems to be a thing, is that people want to leave this film. I think it's incredibly boring. Part of that is because so much of this movie is in slow motion. It feels like it was shot on the moon, and I just want people to move at normal speeds. People give Iron Man 2 a lot of crap for being a trailer for the Avengers. This movie literally stops for maybe 2 minutes so Wonder Woman can watch essentially GIFs that amount to like a viral marketing campaign that you would get off of like buying a Coke can with a code. It was like you remember like all that stuff for Cloverfield, like when before the first Cloverfield came out, where you'd get like a 10-second clip of something. That's what these were. Regardless of what the film says, Lex Luthor wins in the end because he created and trademarked everyone's logos. He's going to be getting money off of them forever. I'm going to go with two best things, actually. Despite how much I dislike this film, Jeremy Irons as Alfred is a joy every time he's on screen. He kind of is instantly my favorite Alfred. I absolutely love Jeremy Irons in this film. And despite the fact that Superman and Lois have maybe the single most toxic relationship I've ever seen, where he is a love slave to her and she doesn't even realize how dangerous that is. Like, there is no consideration to the fact that God is waiting on hand and foot for her. I thought Amy Adams did a great job, and I think she's the best on-screen Lois Lane we've ever had. That's all I got.
Well, Rasco, you want to try to top that, sir?
Well, I've seen this movie twice. The first time I saw it, I have to explain myself here. I was having a great time watching the movie in the theater. Not because it was a good movie, but because I was so interested in just to see what this movie was when it came out. And it's kind of like when you hear that there was like a train wreck and you're like, I really, really want to go see the train wreck. I will enjoy watching this train that's wrecked and all the destruction and fire. I'll enjoy watching it. Doesn't matter if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I'll still enjoy watching it. And then the second time, I didn't even enjoy watching it, and it was just the train wreck. And it was like I was in the train wreck the second time. So the best thing for me was...
Train wrecks are less fun when you're in it.
Oh my God, I can't believe you went that far. And it was like I was there this time.
But like Bruce Willis in Unbreakable, where he was just observing it as it happened around him.
Yeah. So I'd say the best thing, my favorite thing was the Wonder Woman, her theme was awesome. Just the moment that, like, that music, everything I do now, that music's in my head. So I'm driving to school in the morning, it's 5:40, and it's like... and I'm driving to school. Another best thing was also Jeremy Irons. That was another thing that I really liked about the movie. But the worst thing is that clearly we know that taken out of this movie. There's going to be a 30-minute longer cut of the film. So we know that things were taken out. I want to be there to witness. I wish I was there to witness them when they were deciding what they took out of the movie, because I think the worst thing about this movie is that literally it's like they left in scenes that don't make sense because of other scenes they took out. Like, you see Lois Lane pick up the kryptonite spear after Batman throws it away when he doesn't kill Superman. And Lois picks it up, and then we cut away to either Superman or Batman when Batman goes to save Martha or when Superman goes to stop Lex. We cut away, and then the next time we cut back, Lois doesn't have the spear. And it's like things like that, where that happens at least 3 or 4 times in the movie, where there's a scene that then when you cut back, what that person did in the scene, they have not done anymore. And it's just like completely pointless, and we didn't even need to see it. Also, don't like how many dreams there are in this movie. It really bothers me when people just throw in dream sequences left and right, when it just either to like break up the film, or I don't know. Like, why do we need to see a bat break out of Martha Kent's grave? And like, I don't know.
Oh, I forgot about that one.
A lot of dreams in this
I
movie.
legitimately laughed at that.
I did too. Oh, is that what was going on?
We were setting up Man-Bat. That was what that was. He's going to be on the Justice League.
We'll have to get deep into the dream thing later, because the fact that Batman is having, like, regularly having dreams and then thinks one later is a real thing, really makes no sense to me.
Can I
we'll talk about
jump
that
in? I
after a
realized
while.
I
Yeah.
forgot to give a worst. Can I jump in before the next person goes?
Yeah,
I realized
go
I forgot to give a worst part.
You did?
Yeah, I
did.
thought
I
you
forgot
did.
to give a worst part.
I assumed you just
I
lead
can't tell you
with-
what it is
lead
now.
with that.
So.
All right.
Go ahead.
No, the worst part is that Zack Snyder is Bane. In Rises, Bane says, the worst thing you can do to someone is fill them with hope and take it away.
Oh my God! Don't say that. Please stop talking. You're just making it so much worse right now. Yeah, go ahead. It's cool.
When the Flash shows up in the dream, and I didn't realize it was a dream because he just woke up from a dream, so how could this possibly be a dream? When the Flash shows up, I had this moment where I was like, what I thought it was at all. It's going to turn, and it's going to be this completely other movie, and they've been lying to us in trailers, and it's going to be this crazy comic book movie where the Flash comes back from the future like the Terminator and is like, come with me if you want to live. And then it was a dream, and I was so depressed.
The Flash can show up and go, Bruce, there's something wrong with your kids. We have to go back to the future.
Well, he basically said that about Lois Lane. It's all about Lois.
I hate when people say so-and-so is the key. Like, the key to what? It's like a video game.
Especially in DC, because there is a character called the Key.
Yeah.
And because Superman was kind of literally the key in the first movie.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the Codex. Yeah, because I said in my rewind that somehow or rather it occurred to somebody to make Superman his own MacGuffin. And I just couldn't even believe it. It's an artifact plot. What everyone's looking for is the main character, and he doesn't know that.
They
that could have
did that
been
in
really
Hellboy.
cool.
His hand's the MacGuffin.
Oh, that's true. But somehow or rather that worked more because I understood what the point of it was, and it was simple, Eric. It's not that convoluted. You stick it in a wall, and end of the world.
Well, I mean, Del Toro's a better filmmaker than Snyder.
And you turn it like a key.
With Superman, it was you put the whole future Kryptonian race in a person, and then, but what about that? So anyway, well, I will go ahead and get my best thing, worst thing, real quick. So when and I guess my experiencing it a second time, I don't want to talk about movies after I see them anymore the first time because apparently I turn into a 6-year-old. When I go to a movie that is about a thing that I care about, be it Batman vs. Superman, or excuse me, or be it Star Trek Into Darkness, I give this giant glowing recommendation because they did things in the film that I've always wanted to see. And somehow or rather, the guy who makes these really stupid long reviews that can't stop talking about effective narrative can't remember how effective narrative works. And I came back and I was driving home the first time I saw it, and I was thinking, I bet this isn't a good movie, but I can't tell you why. I'm on my way home going, it's not, I think it's really bad. And then what I realized after I talked to Steve, because I know some folks are going to think, oh, Captain Logan has a conversation with Steve and suddenly everything changes and he completely, he's a politician, he flip-flops. He's like, oh, the popular opinion is, nah, you guys saw what happened with Dark Knight Rises. I don't always go with the popular opinion. And what happened was I knew I had to be wrong, but Steve kind of opened the veil a little bit, and what I realized was I liked everything that's terrible about it. it's this really awful schlocky thing, and I liked it for the schlock. Like, the score that everybody hates in the theater, I was going, this is bizarre and lovely. Like, there was so much stuff in this movie where I was like, the audacity that they put this in here is why I'm loving it so much. I don't know what you guys are talking about when you say it's boring. I don't think it's a good movie now. I saw it again yesterday. I was a little bit crushed like Rasco. I was watching it, and I went by myself both times. I would have had a different experience if I took somebody, I'm sure. And I'm by myself, and I'm watching it again, and it's not just because I talk to people. Like, I started realizing, all the things that I thought were, like, progressing to a place in the first, like, half of this movie, like, it just gets unceremoniously dropped. There's no argument in this movie. Like, Batman v Superman, but what about that? Like, it's the same thing as the Codex thing, the first one, but what about that? Like if we're here just to see these guys fight, and you're not going to actually make it about an ideology thing, even though you keep talking about that, why don't you just, like I said in the Rewind with Man of Steel, he should just make a Fleischer cartoon, make a 2-hour Fleischer cartoon, and just have them hit each other and have a really simple premise as to why it's happening at the end. And it's already a better movie because at least I know why we're there. And I'm sitting here watching it a second time and going, okay, I understand what I was really liking about it the first time around, but now that it's not coming together as I thought maybe it would, because I don't agree with people that say that the first, like, half hour, 45 minutes, like, all of the scenes could be moved around, but, like, it feels like we're building to things, and I can make arguments about stuff that has to happen before other things can happen, which is more than I can say about some of Man of Steel. So, like, there were things with this movie, and I do think that Man of Steel is a better movie than this, but there were things where I thought that they were actually that Snyder was actually improving on that. And then when I realized just how far away we were getting from anything it looked like we were building, I realized just how much he was insulting my intelligence, and that he's making a movie just to blow up and kill people. That's it. That's what it is. Snyder is making up excuses to take iconic characters that are supposed to be heroic, that we're supposed to look up to, that even with Batman, who sometimes you're not supposed to, or you can ask the question, you argue about it. He's taking these characters that have an argument for why they're doing what they're doing, and he's using that as an excuse for gratuitous violence. And I made the argument with Man of Steel, like, we've got this wait and see thing, that if it's not actually about Superman, it's just about a guy who is becoming Superman, maybe it's okay. You can't do that twice in a row. We can't still, at the end of the day, go, maybe someday these characters will become the characters that we know. No, we can't keep doing it. No, and it was 3 years in between. What are you doing, and how in the world is this thing supposed to be setting up the ongoing DC universe? This is the most fascinating year on record for superhero movies. I'm a sports analyst when it comes to superhero films. This is fascinating. My best thing is the bombastic outrageousness of this movie. I don't think Lex Luthor actually, at the end of the day, works, especially his plan. I don't think the character is inconsistent. I don't know how he got that way. He's an absolute nut job and a sociopath, and he's a Batman villain, but he's a psychotic Batman villain. I actually really like the performance. I like if you had the right stuff behind it, if I understood how he got there, he's fascinating. And that's the thing. So my favorite thing about this movie is that, at least first time going through it, it was fascinating. My least favorite thing is that is the Lex Luthor plot, and the fact that by the end of the day, it's just this really contrived thing to get the two characters fighting, except that the pieces that Lex Luthor is the track that he's apparently laying that gets us there is never laid. Like, we're not laying any track. It's just, and Lex Luthor is behind these things that people seem to be doing independently and still kind of could have. Can you guys imagine what would have happened if Lex Luthor hadn't told Superman that he'd kidnapped his mother, kidnapped Superman's mother and put him in and given him this ultimatum? Batman lights a bat signal in the sky, and he would just be standing there all evening. He's just,
you stole my thing. You stole my best thing.
He'd just be standing there. Oh, I'm sorry. He'd just be standing there looking off into space going, I look really dramatic right now. And if anyone was watching this on film, they would be entertained for the 10 seconds that you should be looking at this. Anyway, yeah, oh boy, it completely falls apart, and it saddens me because I loved it so much in the first place. And I guess my best thing was the outrageous. First time around, my best thing was, oh, you guys went as far as Death of Superman. Like I was excited about the potential to eventually get there. No, you went all the way and did it here. And if this actually had been Superman, that would have been a coup because I didn't see it coming. I didn't expect that. And in the theater, I was blindsided and I teared up, not because I cared about these characters, but because I've been waiting to see that on film for 20 years. And that was a big thing for me. Second time around, I felt nothing. Zero. Zilch. Nada. And the big thing I kept asking during that scene was, wait a minute, Martha Kent got Superman's body?
And she had a open casket funeral for Clark.
Who got impaled.
How
Like,
long?
I couldn't even believe that. I didn't pick up on the fact because I was so emotional about the fact that I was getting to see some of the stuff that, oh, wait, the black casket is empty. I didn't even pick up it. How did she? I just couldn't even believe that that's what they did with it.
This will be the one time I'll throw a positive in there. The movie does explain that. Batman has a line where he says before the funeral starts, he switches the caskets out, and so the military doesn't know the black casket's empty.
Oh,
Batman steals the body.
that's actually kind of cool. And if I believed Batman actually, and we'll get into this, if I believe Batman actually respecting and appreciating and liking Superman now, that he would do that for him is kind of cool. But I don't, so whatever. Eric, welcome back. His microphone's not working apparently, but welcome back. Let's Steve, I went on a little bit because obviously my opinion is complex and has changed some. Did you want to add anything from what you said the other day?
I did. I do want to add a little bit.
Go ahead. Sure.
I'm going to echo Eric a little bit and say that it's not a movie. This is garbage for 2.5 hours. It's absolute garbage, and I've seen it 3 times now. 3 times in a row, less than 24 hours in between each other. I saw it Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday night. And I bought all of those tickets before I saw it the first time, and I regret it so much.
Oh my God! Did you really? That's hilarious.
I know. I regret it so much. But I want to add a little bit just in the sense that this is not a movie, and the biggest problem with it is Batman. We'll get into some of this stuff, but Affleck's fine. Affleck's okay and all. He doesn't have any material to work with. Batman is absolutely the worst part about this movie. Not only is he a psychotic murderer, but he has no point. Like you said before, Batman versus Superman never happens, right? Like, Batman is pissed at Superman for collateral damage, yet he's doing exactly the same thing, running over people, gutting people down, flipping cars over on them, so he has no argument against Superman. And then more than that, Superman's not fighting Batman because he symbolizes something that he doesn't agree with. He's fighting Batman because he's too stupid to pick him up and talk about it. And it's just the most contrived mess ever. The whole Batman versus Superman never happens. It's really irritating. I can't even enjoy it on a dumb action level because of how stupid that setup is. The other thing, the positive I'll throw out though, is it's what you said earlier. My favorite thing about the movie is Batman shines a light in the sky, Lex Luthor turns on his hour timer, and then they talk, and then you cut to the Martha Kent and it says 35 minutes left, and then you cut to Wonder Woman getting an email from Bruce in that moment where she watches everything for 5 minutes. So Bruce is just staring at the sky for half an hour, and then he's like, oh shit, maybe I shouldn't say that. I should pull up my phone and email Wonder Woman this thing.
Strike one!
That's what it is. It's just Batman staring at the sky for half an hour and then texting Wonder Woman. That's what happens in the movie. That's an accurate description.
Another example of when
How
random
does he
scenes.
text her with those fingers?
I don't know, but that's what he does.
I'm sorry, Rasco, what were you saying?
I was gonna say another example of a scene where like they cut out another scene so it doesn't make any sense. You see Wonder Woman progressively throughout the night of the Batman v Superman through the giant battle. So you see Wonder Woman, she's like leaving some hotel or something. She sees on the news that the Kryptonian ship is like lightning and exploding and crap. And no, that's not enough to get her to check it out. She waits till she's on her plane before she leaves to go help them. Like, it's like, why did we see her look at the news if she wasn't going to react to it? She sees this thing is like electrifying the area around it and all this stuff. That's not enough for her. And then it's like, so it's like pointless for her to see that on the news if she doesn't react to that.
We need to establish that she has Wi-Fi so she can get Batman's email.
Rasco, what I wanted to see so badly there was instead of her boarding a plane, her walking into an empty parking lot, sitting down, doing this, and flying away. Make that look badass, Zack Snyder. Rasco, let's allow the audience to direct our conversation now. And if they've been asking any questions or talking about any specific scenes or elements of the film that they'd really like us to talk about, throw something out. Start with something that seems kind of big and generalized, if you can find one like that, and we'll use that to launch off, springboard, and talk about some more of the specifics of Batman v Superman: Dawn of whatever this
Dawn of Explosions that should have been the real
universe is going to be now. And we definitely should make sure at the end, if we don't get to it before that, to discuss what we think the future of this is going to be, because, like I said, this is fascinating. Go and heartbreaking, but fascinating. Go ahead, Rasco.
Okay, this is from some name I can't read. I do have to disagree. I do have to disagree on the point. I think an argument can be made that Batman killing is similar to just a war in which he doesn't specifically desire his enemy's death, but kills put them beyond the capability of causing further harm and to achieve a greater evil.
No, I don't agree with that at all. I think that's a cop-out answer, because the problem is the Batman in this movie is not on a war path. The Batman in this movie knocks over a car, uses a grapnel to grab the car again, and then just throws it around because it looks cool. He's a Batman that guns down a gunner and then runs over his car, making sure everyone's dead. It's not a greater evil thing. The problem that he's suffering from is that he's just gone crazy, and he's absolutely as bad as Superman. I don't have a problem with Batman killing. I can see stories where Batman goes around mowing people down. I can understand that. You can't have that in a movie that's supposed to be about collateral damage.
Exactly. And
But-
that's
but
exactly
let's-
his point. He's talking about how Superman has way too much power. And what is he doing? I mean, what? If he can use his power to kill anybody he wants and gets away with it, I mean, he's doing the same exact thing.
Exactly.
I think it's
exercising power over people that they have no control over. He is no better than Superman.
But before we get too far into this discourse, Steve, I'm gonna, and this is not me arguing with you because you're absolutely right, but as much as you loathe this movie, you are giving it too much credit. And we have got to be careful not to do that, because it's exactly the same thing that I talked about with Man of Steel with the action sequences in that. The rule of thumb is this isn't good, this is not okay. But the rule of thumb with Snyder is if nobody notices, it didn't happen except for the sake of an action scene. So the Batman of this movie is not doing what you're seeing him do. Anytime he does something that violent, Snyder doesn't know about it. I know what he's talking about in interviews and stuff after this, and you guys can talk about that later if you want to. But guys, we've got an Alfred that says you're going too far because you're branding people. The Batman that is supposed to be a character in this film, one of the protagonists of this movie, is not the same one that suddenly gets caught up in a CG action fest that's no longer serving the story. What story is here? And so I don't think you can give it enough credit to even talk about what kind of a person he is doing that, because I think there are two Batmans in the exact same way there are two Supermans, and there were in Man of Steel.
Yeah, it's the thing where it's like Zack Snyder. It's like I really doubt that in the script for Man of Steel it says Superman throws Zod through I really doubt all the collateral damage is in the script in that movie.
I don't think it is either, and I really doubt that it says Batman runs over people, and even the thing with the fire, toward the end when he kills that guy by fire, I bet that's not in the script. I mean, now that is a big plot point. But I could see it. I mean, who knows? I'd love to read this script. But who knows if you'd ever get the actual shooting script? But I mean, I bet it says something like, he hits that guy in the head real quick and then he flies off. But no, he's got to blow up a gas tank. Steve, do you want to argue with me? Do you want to rebut that?
I see your point. I think that just goes to what we said earlier about this not being a movie. So if you try to look at it as a cohesive piece, it doesn't make any sense. If you try to look at it as two separate chunks, it still doesn't make any sense.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I mean that's just the issue. And then part of it is also just if the movie opens with Batman in the middle of Superman's 9/11 style destruction, because they're trying to homage that really, really hard. Snyder talks about that. If he opens in the middle of an action scene, and that's our introduction to the character in the middle of an action scene, I think Snyder shoots himself in the foot in the way you're analyzing it, because now the action becomes part of the character motivation.
Well, he's not thinking. I mean, yeah, there you are, Eric. Hey, man.
Okay, can I weigh in for a second?
Please do.
Because I've been talking and no one heard me.
Right. Go ahead.
In response directly to the comment that Batman's in a war and that he's just taking people out so that they don't kill again, how is the Joker alive in this universe? If that's who this Batman is, how is Suicide Squad possible?
And there's no discussion about that, right? Like, Batman never says we're killers. He says we're criminals. Like, there's
that's
no
a direct
discussion about
line
that.
from Dark Knight Returns, and I don't think it's actually reflective of the film at all.
A lot of the Dark Knight Returns stuff isn't. It's just style.
It is in the sense
it's just
that they're trying to get away with something. They're trying to get away with the darker Batman by saying that. But you're right. It's less about characterization and story and more about what can we throw in there to make it okay that we want to make this as gritty. And isn't it just really interesting that, you know, we've got people making this movie that think like super dark and edgy is what we need to combat Marvel and stuff. Let's ignore the fact that Daredevil is doing that. You know, that's what we really need, and people aren't responding to it.
While we're here, I do want to throw this out. I think this is a good segue to this, and Eric loves Dark Knight Returns, so I feel like this will be a good point in it. Jerry Conway, if you follow him on Twitter, he has been demolishing this movie for days, and it's absolutely hilarious. One of his points is that, okay, Snyder talks about how brutal Batman is in Dark Knight Returns. He never actually kills anyone in that book, and he doesn't use guns. He's got a whole
According to Zack Snyder, he shoots someone between the eyes in that book.
Which he doesn't. Like, you can message him the panel. It's ridiculous. But the part of the problem is that's a more brutal Batman that is still not as brutal as this. And if you're going to take that Batman, put him in modern day, you've ruined Dark Knight Returns. Because Dark Knight Returns is about a gritty, dark, on-the-edge Batman in a post-apocalyptic style Gotham City. This is not that. If you're doing that, he's just crazy.
I don't know. I only see trash can fires in Gotham. It might be living in its own personal post-apocalypse.
Well, the movie is a trash can on fire, so maybe you got a point.
Right across from Twin City, right across from the City of Tomorrow, that anybody could just drive across and live in.
When they said that, I didn't have a problem with it. When I saw it in the film, I couldn't deal with it. They're right next to each other. Lex Luthor literally looks at the bat signal across the river.
You know, going into Metropolis from Gotham, there is a huge toll.
I would love it,
not
Manos,
going
if that
the
was
other
the
way.
only,
Not going the other way.
I would love it if that was the only thing that forced people in Gotham to keep living there was we can't afford to drive across.
Going the other way, there's not even railings on the bridge.
Since they're right next to each other, I really want. I'm just going to decide this is what it is. Batman or Gotham and Metropolis are just in Minnesota now. Rasco, let's
Wait. If we go by Smallville logic, where they can see Metropolis from Smallville, can they also see Gotham?
I guess that's how they got Martha Kent to Gotham so quick. And
oh yeah.
How dumb was that to bring Martha Kent to Gotham? Like, couldn't they have just kept her kidnapped in Smallville?
How dumb was it?
Take her to anywhere except
my bigger question
20 feet from our heroes?
Martha Kent, because Superman has
her to Calcutta.
How do you
put her in the back of a van and blow her brains out?
Sorry, go ahead, Steve.
And just tell
Superman's got this
Superman that she's still alive.
To hear Lois Lane whenever she's in danger, just conveniently across countries when he's in Africa, and then across the city. So clearly, he loves this woman to death, but more so than his mother, who he doesn't hear get kidnapped. And obviously, Lex Luthor has a camera on him or something,
even when
because he could very easily just go fly and save Martha, but he doesn't.
Also,
yeah.
I was gonna say, if you're Superman and you're trying to convince Batman to come help you save your mom, the way you approach him is probably not appearing ominously in the dark sky and then smashing down to the ground like a psychopath, like you're ready to fight somebody.
Exactly. I kept thinking, like, if you don't want to fight somebody, don't hit them. Maybe that might be a good idea.
Let's try and talk to him, and then Batman punches him in the face.
Because this part, to get them to fight, was so poorly written, and the problem was there needs to be no way they can get out of this fight. They have to, the tension has to build up appropriately, and Superman has to feel the need. Like, quick example, the Clash episode from Justice League, where Shazam and Superman fight. Yeah, there was a lot of tension in that, like, 1 minute scene where Superman thinks there's a bomb and Shazam thinks he's going to cause a lot of damage, and they, have no time to decide. This, they have lots of time to decide and lots of things they could have done instead. Superman could have just sat down in front of Batman and said, "I'm not going to fight you. I need to talk," instead of hitting him and throwing him through buildings. I don't usually hit people when I don't want to fight them.
He also had no fewer than 4 opportunities to very quickly tell Batman what was up while he was fighting him.
Exactly.
Right? Like, there were a number of moments where he's got him, he was grabbing him, and he could stand there and say, "Look, Lex Luthor set all this stuff up and he kidnapped my mom. How long does it take to say that?"
And he never knows he's crooked. That's the thing. Like, Bruce didn't think he was a cool buddy.
And then, of course, obviously, the most contrived thing in the whole sequence is he's under Batman's boot, and because the movie wants to make a big deal, wants to have the one thing they have in common, the fact that their mothers have the same name, which you could do something neat with, and it's a thing that I've always thought of. Like, nobody ever really talks about the fact that they both have the same name. That's really interesting. But it was ridiculously contrived, because he's like Martha. Why would you say that? You would have to know that was the name of his mother before it would even occur to you to say the first name. What am I missing here? Like, the first name of your own mother. Why would you say it like that unless you knew exactly what was going on? And you don't. Also, how does Lex Luthor know who these people are? He seems to know that Bruce and Clark are both Batman and Superman, right?
Yeah.
How did you know that? I don't understand that.
Cutscene.
I'll add it also onto your list of alsos, Cap. Also, why did Superman have to disagree with the way in which Batman goes about fighting crime if the reason for him fighting Batman in the ending has nothing to do with him disagreeing on Batman's... the reason he's fighting Batman is to save because he's doing a bad job of trying to save his mom. That's why he's fighting Batman. Him fighting Batman has nothing to do with their opposing ideologies, whereas Batman fighting Superman is for reasons kind of that are like that.
And once they've saved his mother, there's no reason that Batman wouldn't still want to fight him. Yeah. Right? Because the thing is, Batman has a reason. Actually, Batman has a number of reasons. I'm not saying that some of it's not manufactured, but he's seen a future that he believes is really going to happen because he thinks Darkseid's coming. So he believes that dream sequence wasn't a dream sequence, even though, like, if you believe that the Flash really came to you like that, why don't you also think that maybe the bats that were swirling around you really did lift you up out of a cave? Like, I don't understand that. But also, he thinks that Superman's going to become a fascist dictator, and he also doesn't think that he can trust him because he thinks that he lives like a god and he doesn't pay enough attention to the little people. What happened that made them friends?
Also, their mothers are both named Martha. That was it.
That's it.
Yeah, but the
Did
Flash
you get the
also...
subtext? Oh wait, no. Did you get the text?
If Batman now...
Yeah, his heel turn is so quick on that. Like, they're complete buddies then. I mean, you thought
even said,
Superman is going to be a... Yeah. And he goes, "Yeah, I'm his friend." Like,
that was from a different movie. That comes out of some other movie. Yeah.
And Superman always has murder on his mind in this movie? There's at least twice. He says it to Batman, he says it to Lex, where he's like, This is mercy, me not breaking you into a million pieces.
Oh, I couldn't.
Yeah, he has
Superman should never be thinking about that.
Yeah, I hate
He's his character at all. His solution to every problem in Man of Steel is let me hit it. It's exactly the same thing here.
Sorry, Dan, go ahead.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, of the two characters, Superman's the one I like the most, and I hated everything about his character in this movie. Like, the implications of that vision that Bruce had was that if Lois Lane dies at any point ever, Superman turns into a oppressive dictator. So someone is going to have to invest time in making sure that Lois does not die. They're going to have to lock her in a cryo chamber where she has no danger.
This is part of that toxic relationship I was talking
Or
about.
a supervillain or anything. Like, this Superman is that morally bankrupt, and that's what his entire life hinges on. I understand that he likes Lois, but if someone close to me died, I wouldn't, abandon everything I stand for and try to rule the world, even if I had that kind of power. I mean, it's
I'll backtrack to your point and say I don't understand why he likes Lois, because they kiss once in Man of Steel and suddenly they're in love now in this movie.
Yeah,
I don't know where that comes
regardless
from.
of all those
Yeah, but
things,
18 months have passed. I'll give him that.
Yeah,
I mean, I grant
But
that.
also,
What do you like about her? What does she like about him, aside from the fact that he's a god and she's attractive?
Well, part of
didn't
the
get
problem
enough
with the
stuff.
Zack Snyder films is it goes under the assumption we just know all this.
yeah, but give me a second because there's more than Steve's letting on.
Okay.
They don't give us enough scenes with people acting like people at all in Man of Steel, Steve, because they're not people, so that's difficult for them to accomplish. But the idea anyway is supposed to be that Lois Lane represents the good of humanity, and he falls in love with humanity in falling in love with her. As Eric said, it's kind of scary if you take it to its furthest implications, and I can't believe they went that far with it.
It's also inconsistent symbolically, because that's kind of what Martha's there for as well. Because
Well,
if
that's a
that's
good
how they're
point.
supposed to be united, then that doesn't necessarily make a whole lot of sense.
They should have both been with Lois.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I want to get to some more audience stuff because I want to make sure that
Can I say one
folks
more
get to
thing?
participate.
It's
Yes,
also-
sir, absolutely, Dan. Yeah, there's a lot of us here. Go ahead.
Yeah, related to a point that you guys were talking about earlier, the collateral damage. I laughed really hard at the scene that you guys were talking about where they realized that their moms have the same name because it was like the cheesiest thing I've ever seen on film. But the other two really cheesy things were related to collateral damage. The first time when they got Anderson Cooper to say, "There's a giant fight taking place in the city, but conveniently, everyone went home for work."
Yeah.
And then
I love
Doomsday
get out of
crashing
the tower,
into
and he's
an
like, "Oh,
island,
get
and
out
they're
of the
like,
tower."
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
and
go
then
ahead, Dan.
Doomsday crashes into an island, and the general looks up and goes, "Uninhabited."
Yeah, it's like the first dub of Dragon Ball Z. It's like, oh, their parachute's open. They're gonna be okay.
Like in a movie about collateral damage, we're being that lazy about not killing people, and then it appears that both cities are leveled by the end of the movie. I mean,
The collateral
It's not
damage.
a movie about collateral damage.
It's not.
Because keep having these like hearings or talking about the hearings where they're like, Superman might do something that endangers people. Did we miss the ending of Man of Steel? Like, I know you showed it to me, but none of you are acting like it happened.
Yeah, so let me set this up, because I thought of this while I was watching it yesterday, and I just could not even believe that this is how oversimplified we were. This is Zack Snyder going, so people think that collateral damage is a thing that matters. I don't know why they care about that, but I guess I'll throw it in the movie. And so what he does is he says the whole world believes that Superman is basically perfect and altruistic and can do no wrong and will save us at any time. Because because they built a statue, and the first time anybody ever even thinks to put together picket signs and go like, this is not the world we live in. This is so weird that we're trying to be like this realistic. Oh, people don't trust Superman. No, they do until Lex decides to frame him for murder, and that's when people go, oh my God, he murdered
shooting
someone.
people with guns.
So then, what's crazy about that is that you got everybody seems to be perfectly fine with him because she's like, we've been the senator. And by the way, I liked she was one of the only characters I thought was like legitimately a decently written character. And she's like the trailer thing. We should also talk about the trailer thing because I saw most of this movie already and I couldn't even believe that. But she's like we've been so caught up in what he can do, we haven't thought about what he should do. And I'm like, but a whole bunch of people died in a giant battle that nobody knows what exactly the battle was about unless Superman's given a press conference or something. So like, people should be worked up about that. The only two people that noticed that Superman might be at fault at all in any of that are Bruce Wayne and the paraplegic guy in his building. And
they both waited 8 months to do anything, or 18 months to do anything.
Right, and both...
You open this movie with Batman being like, I don't know about that Superman. What have you been doing for the past 18 months?
Both of these... But let me finish this point. Both of these guys... they have the opposite problem, or they have the same problem, but in opposite, where they've also oversimplified the situation because it doesn't occur to either of them that may have been the only way that Superman could get the job done in stopping Zod. Like, nobody is thinking on either side. So most of the world, Superman is perfect, and then these two guys, it's all his fault.
And then,
was Lex Luthor intercepting that guy's mail? Is that what I'm to understand?
And if Lex Luthor had to have known from the very beginning, Lex had to have known all the way back, I just thought of this, all the way back during the Zod fight, that Batman and Bruce Wayne were the same person already. He had to have already known
absolutely.
That. Holy crap. What? How does he know that?
One of the points you made, too, about Lex framing Superman for murder, he doesn't even need to do that, because Superman kills someone in that scene. Like, he
pulls him through 4 concrete walls.
That guy is dead.
He should... Once again, though, we're giving Snyder too much credit. Because there's like a cheap, easy line, Dan, where Superman's like, oh, that guy didn't die. He's like, I guess he didn't die, even though it doesn't make any sense that he didn't die.
Well, we cut to Superman.
But they tell us that he's not dead.
Talking to Lois, where he says, "Why do they think I kill people?" See, I was like, "Well, because you just pulled that guy through 4 concrete walls."
There's no way that in the script it's like, and Superman dashes forward with the velocity of a giant train and impales this guy through a wall. Like, there's no way the script says that.
Yeah, and as you're watching it, it's not like he wraps him up in a big bear hug, turns around, and hits the wall with his back so that he's safe. Yeah. Like,
and again, it's all about Snyder wanting to make things look cool, right? Because if he can move that fast and ram him through a wall, why don't you just grab the gun?
And here's how: there is no way he's alive, because we know in this movie, nukes cannot destroy Superman or his costume, because a nuke blows up, his costume is fine, and he eventually is fine. Doomsday can stab Doomsday can stab his hand through Superman's chest, which means that Doomsday can stab harder than a nuke can explode. Also, Superman can catch Doomsday's punch mid-punch while he's flying forward. Superman flies forward into that guy, knocking him through the walls with the power of a Doomsday punch stab. That guy's dead!
Hey, Dan, I was going to give you a chance to argue with me and rebut, but Rasco did it for you, pal.
Yeah.
That guy should be dead. I mean, I'm with you. He should be, but we're told he's not.
Should we mention while we're here that Superman is kind of a moron and completely immature throughout this movie because he can't comprehend...
He has no object permanence of his actions.
Exactly. Like Eric and I were talking about this. The biggest issue this Superman has is that he can't seem to understand that people would be afraid of him. He can't seem to grasp this idea that people are afraid of things that are stronger than them. He has that scene with Lois in the bathtub, and she's talking about how people are worried, and he's like, no, I don't care. He literally says, I don't care. Like, this character doesn't seem to understand anything about what it means to be Superman, and if we're supposed to believe this idea that he's still becoming Superman, then I don't understand why we're supposed to care when he dies, because right now, all he's doing is punching things until he's happy. Like, people always hate me for saying that that Man of Steel is kind of a fascist film. No. This is the definition of it. This is absolutely no one cares about morality by the end, because guess what? The guys who are strongest won the day. And if they're strongest, they are in charge. That's all this movie is by the end.
I think one of the weird things about the Superman for me, too, is, like, he doesn't seem to have the same morality as the Superman I would like, which is fine. But his parents like are very reflective of that, in that like Martha Kent in this movie is just like, you don't owe anything to this world, just go hide somewhere. I was like, that's like the least inspiring thing you could have said. and then
I have that stitched on a pillow. That's inspiring.
Comprehensively mumbling about pancakes. I was like, what is this movie?
Nothing. Martha Kent.
Like, I literally had no idea what Kevin Costner was saying in the scene where he showed up initially. He's just like, ugh, pancakes. I was like,
where he's hallucinated to help Clark like psychologically deal with it.
Dreams like that annoy me. I hate when someone has a dream and then they learned something from their dream, because now that's schizophrenia. Like, if you like learned something really like world-changing that you didn't know, like if you know information coming out of a dream you didn't know before, where did that information come from? You know what I mean? Like,
I guess
what I kept wondering, that's great, Rasco. Because what I kept wondering is he's telling this specific story about. I mean, like it was this crazy. So first of all, we acted like Jonathan Kent grew up 100 years ago. That's the first thing. But that like they flooded. He thought he saved the farm, and it wasn't pancakes. It was just cake, by the way. But he was like, but he was like, and then somebody made me a hero cake. But while I was eating my hero cake, we found out that I accidentally flooded the Lane farm. And now I'm wondering if Lana Lang is dead, because we're killing off every supporting Superman character. So she's probably dead already before the film even begins. But he says that, and I'm like, does Clark? Did he tell this story to Clark like when he was growing up? Or is Clark just finding out about this now? Make it up and the Langs are fine. Maybe they're fine. Yes, Eric, go ahead.
At least in Rises, when Bruce hallucinates Roz, it's conscious putting the information he has together. This is just a story. It's
and
just
also,
a feel-good story.
Like, I can't believe that Eric and I, of all people, are sitting here going, look, Rises did this better. But in that scene, Eric not only has he had this horrible traumatic experience that I could see maybe resulting in a hallucination, maybe, but more so than just walking up the mountains in your Superman. But also he's hallucinated it. I mean, like the information he's getting, he's putting it together, but it's not the right information because he doesn't actually know. So I mean, that's weird in that movie because it feels like it's giving us exposition that it's not actually giving us, and then they're trying to make a big deal out of it later, like you thought it was this thing, but it's really this. But with this movie, it's no, he knows. He finds out about this story or maybe he knew it already, and also Kevin Costner is giving an entirely different performance. Apparently, in Clark's subconscious,
he's an entirely different character.
He's an entirely
we're
different
told
character.
That he's Superman because his dad wanted him to be.
Well, you and I argued about this the other night a little bit, and I see what they think they're doing, but it doesn't work. So I don't even want to get into that. But yeah, no.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Rasco, we have answered all of one question from the audience. I'd really like to include everyone more, and see if so. Do two things for me, Rasco. Find something that an aspect of the movie, because there's a lot going on that we haven't talked about yet, and find someone that is angry with us. I want to talk to somebody that really is angry about what we're saying. Go ahead.
This is so entertaining, by the way. I'm just like sitting back and enjoying everybody like yell at each other. It's great. I love it.
Jump in at any time.
I agree with pretty much everything. I mean,
even when you're arguing, I'm with you. You don't think that you're arguing this part, but I agree with you.
There are so many intended cheer moments in this film. Do you mind if I share one that actually got me pretty excited?
Did you stand up? Were you like, yay?
Yeah, almost.
This is going to be really sarcastic. I can feel it.
It's Manos. I can feel it in the air tonight, Phil Collins.
It is when they do that final hearing with Holly Hunter playing Senator Finch, who, by the way, I agree. I think her character is actually smart and well written. Then the senator next to her was real-life Senator Patrick Leahy. Oh. And I don't know if you know this, but Senator Leahy from Democrat, I think from Vermont, he's a gargantuan Batman fan, and he has appeared in several Batman films now.
I didn't notice him, but he has been.
Yeah, he's the guy that yells at the Joker in The Dark Knight in the party scene.
Yes, and his performance in that was really good, by the way. Like, he's there for just a minute, but like he's memorable in that scene.
He voices the governor in a Batman animated episode, the one with Jonah Hex. He appears in Batman and Robin at a party scene.
Mm-hmm.
He like you mentioned, he's in The Dark Knight when he mouths off to the Joker. The Joker says, "You remind me of my father. I hated my father." And now he's in this, playing a senator. And I got really excited. It's like, oh, hey, Patrick Leahy made it into another Batman thing. I love it. It's absolutely cool. I actually got excited. And I mentioned, hey, it's
Rasco, can we
obviously not playing himself because it'd probably be awkward to for a sitting senator to play someone getting blown up.
That he reaches over and he's like, "I love Grandma's peach tea."
What if that's how he announced that he was retiring?
What?
I have been fictionally murdered. I'm stepping down.
Folks, we are officially
I don't
at
think it's rational for me to continue my position after being murdered.
guys, we are officially at 1 hour. We will, like I said, I will definitely cap this off at an hour and a half, and I think we've already covered a lot of ground already. So this has been really, really great and productive, and we know that at least one person is having a great time. The Curious Low. So, Rasco, give us something else for the audience that we can spur ahead and maybe not do a whole 45 minutes on. Maybe get a few more things. Go ahead.
This is from Vroom Vroom. Why are you guys so mad about Superman being conflicted about helping people?
Wait, he's not conflicted though.
Yeah.
Conflicted.
No, it's not that he's conflicted. The issue is he can't seem to recognize that his power scares people, and then on top of that, the issue is that this Superman, who Henry Cavill talks about as being really John Byrne, where the whole idea is that Clark Kent's the man and Superman is the vague persona. No. I just reviewed Man of Steel on this channel. That's not what John Byrne's Superman is at all, because in this movie, all Superman does is retreats away whenever Clark Kent gets something done, and every time there's supposed to be a dramatic scene, like when the entire building blew up, he's just standing there looking around. He has some tears in his eyes, kind of, but he's not reacting like a human being. It's not that he's conflicted at all. It's that the performance isn't conveying what the script, I think, wants it to convey, and the script's action is so action-driven that there's no actual logical consequence for any of his conflicting emotions that we're supposed to be getting from it.
Yeah, here's the thing.
I
It's
would
not
just
fair to
think
say
about that scene.
Steve,
Because I think
Yeah, go ahead.
I think Superman and I had the exact same thought in that scene, which was, oh, I can't fly out of here, it'll look really bad. And that's a human thought.
Steve, it is somewhat, I think, if you'll permit me, hyperbolic to say that he's not conflicted. I think that the movie is just super all over the place, inconsistent about what he's supposed to be feeling in any moment. He is conflicted when he decides to leave and not face anybody after everybody gets the senators get blown up in that scene, because I think what it's supposed to be, I don't even know if I have enough evidence. This is such a hard movie to talk about. I think the idea there, with what little grains of discussion that we get about it with him and Lois, is supposed to be that he's blaming himself for this happening. Like anytime he tries to intervene and help people like he thinks he's supposed to, then some bad things happen, and also he's also conflicted about whether or not he can trust humanity on the whole. We're still in that place because this guy blames me for this, and what does he do? He blows up this Senate chamber, and he doesn't realize that Lex Luthor was behind it. So he's conflicted, but does it make sense? No, certainly not.
Well, okay, I'll disagree in that slightly, because the scene where he talks to Lois before he flies away and hallucinates to Pocket, which he should get that checked. I don't think you're supposed to be hallucinating like that.
Yeah,
but in that scene, he says to Lois that I should have seen it. Right? It's not that he's conflicted about helping people like the comments suggesting. It's that he's conflicted that he wasn't able to.
I think, well, to be honest, I took that scene, and I wish they had done a little bit more with this. That scene, that moment in the film where they blow up the Senate hearing, and right under his nose, I think that was very demoralizing for him. There had been like this whole build up in this discussion in the world of how people are afraid of him, and then this happens, and I mean that struck me as a I'm going to give up moment. Like, this is not worth it, and or at least I can't seem to. Falkhand's speech, I think, was trying to address that. That, like, he feels like Superman feels like he's trying, and the more he tries, the more things get worse. And then this happens, and he has that moment of like, I can't seem to get this.
Yeah, and Steve, that's primarily the evidence that I'm going to is that he's because that's the analogy of that story.
Yeah, but then the problem at the end of the day, though, for that is still that he doesn't come away with anything from that arc whatsoever. Like, that it's all completely dropped, and the evidence.
Oh, I agree with that. Yeah, sure, but it's not fair to say that he's not conflicted.
Someone just needs to give Superman the Tale of Two Cities.
Hey, Dan, go ahead, man.
I was just saying, I kind of see where Manos is coming from. They were trying to do the whole thing that happens with Spider-Man all the time, where he throws his suit in the trash can and says, me doing this is making everyone's lives worse, so why do I even bother in the first place? Like, maybe if I didn't intervene at all, then people would be able to figure their own things out, which in the comics is kind of Lex's argument, where he's like, humanity needs to figure out how to solve their own problems, and Superman saving everyone is, in the long run, much worse for humanity. In the best stories with Lex, I think that's what the argument's supposed to be, but none of that's really in the movie.
No, it's sad too, because it ought to be, because we haven't really had that in as much in the previous movies either. Like, that's a place we need to go in live action with him.
No, I agree. Yeah, because I like Lex Luthor a lot. He's one of my favorite DC villains for that reason. I think his motivation's done well.
Yeah, Lex thinks that Superman creates a culture of dependency, and so Superman thinks that he's inspiring people to do things, but he's actually, in Lex's view, getting people to think that he's just going to solve their problems for them. Meanwhile, Lex actually thinks he can solve their problems and really thinks that he should be forcing them into what he knows is the right way to go, and he hates that Superman won't do that. And that's the interesting Lex Luthor.
That was supposed to be where Batman and Lex would sympathize. Like,
yes,
that line that Affleck growls at Henry Cavill almost incomprehensibly during the fight, where he's like, "Men are brave, you're not brave." That's kind of what it was supposed to be. Was that,
Okay, so I talk about this all the time. That's a line Goyer wrote that was left in the script, right? Can we all agree that Goyer wrote that line because the guy that writes "I'm here to stop you" writes that line?
Yeah,
right? He also wrote "Do you bleed?"
Superman
goes away and he mumbles to himself, "You will."
But Superman can hear it. Superman could have heard that.
Well, yeah, but he seems to only care about Lois once he's very far away from anyone at all. So maybe he didn't hear it.
The same way that Matt Murdock can hear when the Punisher says whatever he says, "See you around, Red." The ending of Daredevil Season 2, Matt Murdock heard that, throwing it out there.
Oh my God! That episode between.
I haven't finished that yet. How dare you?
That episode between Murdock. That episode. I think episode 3. With,
is that what you're talking about? Okay, I've seen that one.
Yeah. That one episode was better than this entire movie.
That one episode is what this movie should have been, but with one of them not chained to a chimney.
I have a question about the whole thing with Batman and Wonder Woman and the drive. I'm confused as to why Wonder Woman took that, because Batman goes there to take information from Lex. Wonder Woman steals it, tells him that she's going to give it back to him. But then later on, she gives it back to him, and then he sends her all this information that she already must have seen because she gave it back to him. So, like, why is she looking through all the Justice League things?
She couldn't decrypt it. Like, it was encrypted, and she couldn't crack it, and then he gets it, and then he has his little fever dream about the Flash.
Yeah, okay.
While it's decrypting, and then he gets back up and...
But Rasco, you know what I'm more confused about? What do metahumans have to do with kryptonite?
Everything.
Like, you've got that scene where he's talking to the senator, and we're talking about one thing, and suddenly, and we do this all over Man of Steel, and all of a sudden, for no reason, we're talking about metahumans, and they're acting like this follows what he's saying, because he's like, we need the kryptonite to stop the Kryptonian in case he ever does a thing, and then suddenly it's, but you're not just talking about the Kryptonian. No, the metahuman. What does that have to do with bringing kryptonite across? And then why is Cyborg a metahuman? And then there's all this stuff where I'm like, we are shoehorning that stuff in so hard and pretending like it's somehow part of the story. And it's not. I mean, I thought that even the first time I watched it. I was like,
I just
how does any of that
thought
go
of
together?
this. I just thought of this.
Yeah.
That vision Bruce Wayne has about Superman being a dictator, not an issue. This Wonder Woman would put Superman down
Oh yeah.
before that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is the idea? And let's talk about that. Is the idea supposed to be that something happens within the course of this movie that gets Batman to help turn Superman in a different direction, or I guess get him killed?
Yeah, is that future altered?
Is it or not? Yeah, I don't know if it's altered or not. I mean, the sense I got from it was that they thought that, well, A, we got to set up Justice League, but B, that like that's extra motivate or like major motivation for Batman to stop Superman because it's confirming all of his fears. And then and I like at first, as I was watching it the first time around, and there's so much going on, I had to see it again. I thought that maybe the idea was supposed to be that something about mentioning like Lois Lane in that or something like got Batman to do something different than he would have otherwise, and they just that's completely dropped too, and nothing's done with it. I don't know what that was.
That entire thing feels like it should have been the after credit scene. Like that's the type of thing that you do to set up the rest of your movies with the Flash coming in.
But it could have been motivation, right? Well, I mean, Flash does this kind of thing all the time, right? It could have been like,
but it wasn't.
Like, you know,
So
he comes back and he said, and the thing is, there's interesting things said in that scene that I want to read into, and I don't buy that we'll ever necessarily get the answers to it because this is so crazy convoluted. What he says, I've come back too early. What does that mean?
Yeah,
that's really interesting. What does that mean?
It just goes back to the fact that I think this movie tried to do way too much in one movie. And
Yes.
It doesn't have the base. And I don't want to just constantly compare this to Marvel, but like Avengers had a base of all of these other films to give you some of the characters' backstories. And honestly, it probably could have done it without it because I think that movie does a good job of still giving you the characters' motivations within the movie. But you can't just suddenly be throwing all of these different things that we have no idea what's happening. They're informing things that are in later movies instead of being informed by previous movies. And when that's all that you're doing is setting up and 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 not paying it off in the movie, you're just left with a bunch of disjointed scenes that make no sense.
Yeah, I agree. I think that scene with Superman being the dictator thing was weird too, because I've heard people have multiple reactions to it. Like one of my friends that likes DC a lot, he was like, "Oh, that was obviously a nod and setup for an Injustice Gods Among Us movie they're going to do." I was like,
I would rather watch someone play Gods Among Us instead of see that scene.
I mean, like,
man,
I mean, thank God.
and I hope he's right about it, but like,
Yeah.
maybe it was supposed to be a reference, but like, I'm not sure. I'm not so sure what their intention was with most of the scenes in this movie. Like what they were trying to.
Snyder is so interested in just taking visuals without context. I could totally see being unable to tell if something is supposed to be set up or reference.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
Lo made an interesting point. Like, you know, if they did a post-credits sequence, the Flash thing would have been a good choice for that. I sat there for a second trying to remember when the credits were starting to roll. I was trying to remember, like, is there going to be a pre-credits on this? And then I decided if there was one, I wasn't going to sit around and watch it because knowing this movie, it would have been 20 minutes long. And it's like, no, I'll wait until the internet tells me.
Well, you know, speaking of the Avengers, when I saw the Avengers, I was kind of awestruck that all these, even though I'd seen all these characters in different movies, seeing them all together was really something for me. You know, it really felt like a comic book. I didn't have that at all with seeing Batman and Superman on screen together.
I absolutely agree.
There was no moment where I was like, oh man, they're together.
I've gotten a lot of messages about that lately. Like people saying, well, didn't you at least like the movie for seeing the Trinity on screen for the first time? No, I didn't like it for that because Wonder Woman has no character, Superman's a moron, and Batman's a mass murderer. That's not my Trinity. I don't want to see that on screen.
Aren't the characters?
Hashtag not my Trinity.
I haven't seen it. Like I feel like I still haven't seen Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman actually be on screen together in a movie where they are themselves.
Exactly. Like they're not those characters. So why would I get excited?
And you know, it's like we talk about how it's like you almost can't count the action scenes. Well, you can't count the act because like they're inconsistent. They don't care about any of the
Well,
characters
this
in
movie
them.
is an action scene. You can count the non-action scenes.
Yeah.
This may be the right time to go ahead and talk about this, which is what's gonna happen from here. This movie is set to break records this weekend. I don't know if we have the numbers yet. So
420, I think, which
say again?
is like 100 million ahead of where they projected it.
I didn't hear the number, Eric. What did you say?
420. It was projected to open at 320, and when I checked earlier, it was at 420.
Are we talking worldwide?
Yeah.
Okay, I mean that's an insanely huge opening. But here's the question: what's next week going to be like? With all of the critical backlash and everything, I mean, I'm hearing so many people are asking me if
6.
People I know locally, like $6. Is that what you're saying? It makes $6 next weekend. I've had some friends locally and people on the channel and stuff. But especially people locally, like come to me.
Like somebody went to a $5 movie theater.
I think Eric must be lagging behind us.
I'm lagging.
Clearly. I've had some friends and family locally ask me if they should even see it because of all the critical backlash they're hearing. This is not the foundation for your DC universe, and we can't keep damage controlling every movie, right? I mean, like we can't do anything with Suicide Squad to fix this because it's made already. And Wonder Woman, we can't really do anything to fix this because they're filming right now, and because I think they're filming, and because that's a period piece. Like, so Justice League has to fix some of this stuff. The only thing I see at this point is either fire Zack Snyder or decide that it doesn't matter that the movies don't make sense. People are going to see them. Next weekend is crucial, you guys. I think there's every possibility that for the first time in history we see a movie that breaks records and the next weekend is like 3rd or 4th place. Maybe it's not that bad. Maybe it won't be that bad. But is it going to make $1 billion? Because I've done some research into this. This movie has to make $1 billion to justify its existence. And for Warner's. And Warner's, if it makes very much less than that at all, Warner's is going to very seriously consider putting their tail between their legs and run away and reboot, or maybe not even for a long time. I think. So, what do you guys think? What's going to happen? What does this do to Suicide Squad? I mean, like, what do you think?
I really think it hinges on Suicide Squad at this moment because that movie is pretty much in the can at this moment. Like, they've got it pretty much finished. It's coming out. They're not going to scrap it now. I imagine that if they can pull a good movie out of Suicide Squad, then they'll be okay. At least semi-okay, and they can move on from there. But if Suicide Squad does what this movie did and hypes a bunch of people and then is lackluster, because I think that's a lot of the reason that people are giving this movie such a bad time. Like, I don't think that this is worse than Fantastic Four. Like, there are plenty of movies that I've seen recently that are worse than this, but because it was hyped so much and people...
This is the movie they wanted to make.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, like, there's reasons, but I'm just saying, like, as an audience, like, this is a nothing movie, but it's not like, I don't know. I feel like they can do it if Suicide Squad is awesome. I don't know if that's...
I think Suicide Squad and Wonder Woman have to be great.
And I also
think Guardians.
And I also think that people have to go to Suicide Squad. You can't be sure that movie performs after this.
Yeah,
like,
that's
people found this to be obligatory.
I'm not excited for that movie anymore.
It's doing those big numbers, Eric, because it's obligatory. People think they have to go. And they're not going to have that with Suicide Squad, and they might not have that with any other movie after this. This is the Phantom Menace Attack of the Clones situation, right? Where people saw Phantom Menace, and I know people don't like it when I dog on the prequels. I'm just saying, like, collectively, this is how society responded to this. That Phantom Menace comes out, and a lot of people were disappointed with it, but they thought, well, maybe they'll fix it next time. And then by the 3rd one, people just went because they was Star Wars and they were supposed to.
That's really funny. I was going to make a Star Wars
like that earlier. This is potentially exactly that. Man of Steel, people like it was polarizing, but people just weren't sure, where are we going with this? Like, I don't know if I liked that movie. Hopefully he's the real Superman in the next movie. I don't even know if he's supposed to be at the end of this one. And then people see this movie, like, what are we looking at? And I know, and I know it's polarizing. There are a lot of people that are actually really liking this movie, but not enough. I mean, like, it's scary.
Here's the thing, because I've talked to people. Everyone I know that I'm like friends with and shares similar opinions all hate this movie and think it's terrible. But I've talked to some layman people who aren't aware that it's like getting panned. They're like, all I hear is that it's the best movie ever made. I don't know who those people are, and I've heard people say that it's like I can't believe comic professionals are going after Zack Snyder on Twitter the way they are. I've never seen professionals do that. But I've heard from people that all they see on Twitter is how great this movie is. I don't even know what world these people live in.
Well, they live in the outside world from geek culture, and
I guess so.
Remember that. No, we have to remember that. We tend to have a geek culture bubble where we forget that, hey, not everybody goes to see these movies on the first weekend, or not everybody listens to every podcast about this stuff. Some people go see it. There's some boom explosions, and hey, that was a good movie. What's that?
I said everyone isn't watching Jerry Conway's Twitter.
That's right. It's amazing. So yeah, we'll have to see. There's a lot of pressure now on Suicide Squad for that movie to succeed. Who knows? I mean, it's literally like the first two Marvel movies not doing too well, and then the third film is Guardians of the Galaxy.
I think it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with Zack Snyder, because I think those rumors that came out a couple of weeks before the movie came out that Warner Brothers screened it for test screenings and were very worried about how the movie would do. I think those rumors are probably true.
They've got to be.
Yeah.
Well, and I love that before the movie came out, Warner Brothers was saying they're worried because it's too smart for Marvel fans, and after the movie came out, it's not a critics movie, it's an audience movie.
Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, the thing with Zack Snyder too, we have to remember about Suicide Squad and things is he's not just the director of this movie and Justice League. Like, he produced Suicide Squad with his wife. Like, he's intimately involved with all this stuff. He's kind of the guy. He's like the Kevin Feige.
He's Kevin Feige.
This would be like if Marvel fired Kevin Feige now. I don't know that you can just remove Zack Snyder and every problem is fixed. I mean, you kind of have to go back to the drawing board if you take him out of the equation anyway.
You're absolutely right.
So it's going to be very interesting to see, and if this movie and Suicide Squad are bad, or people just don't like them or react to them in a good way, I think it's kind of different than The Phantom Menace in that there's no other movie like Star Wars. So people went to go see it because it's Star Wars, and there's lightsabers in it, so that's cool. There's so many of these other superhero movies that are of quality. Like, nobody's gonna go see these movies for any reason other than if they're good, I don't think.
Well, that's where the analogy breaks down, right? Because when I evoked that, I meant with Man of Steel to this, but it's not necessarily going to have the thing with the next one.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's so many other choices, especially for a cohesive, superhero universe. Like, Marvel, for the most part, has had a pretty good track record. Like, there's some of their movies I like less than other ones, but nothing as terrible as this movie on their slate. Certainly not. I mean,
yeah, and that's the thing. They don't have any wildly polarizing films. I mean, even if the worst received ones are like Iron Man 2 and the Hulk and maybe
Thor
the
the
Thor
Dark
films.
World?
Yeah, Thor the Dark World.
Hulk people like more than Thor the Dark World, yeah. But it's not polarizing. Like, it's more just like people were kind of on the whole sort of let down, I think. I mean,
I know I was, but I wasn't walking out of that movie laughing at how awful it was and didn't have a good time watching that movie either.
Yeah. And also, you got to remember, I started thinking about this when the Guardians film came out. Marvel has built...
Yeah, I would watch Thor the Dark World again.
Marvel has built this wonderful pace where, if it's connected to the Marvel universe, okay, we'll go see that. It's not like a string of different films. It's the Marvel saga now. So if they've attracted audiences of comic fans and mainstream fans, through the Iron Man films, the Captain America film store, Avengers, and so they have this kind of like they're kind of, I don't want to say coasting, but they definitely have this good pattern with audiences. They've built up trust, and if each one of these DC films is so like polarizing like this, that's not building trust.
I have to ask this question. If DC continues to make these and people continue to not like them, and if this movie really affects the next couple, does Warner Brothers is it possible for Warner Brothers to accidentally create the superhero fatigue that people keep talking about that they think is here already? Because when a Batman vs. Superman movie makes $400 million opening weekend, you can't tell me that the fatigue is as bad as people are saying that it is. People, superheroes are still so much of Hollywood's take, and that's not changing. But could they accidentally change it? Like, could they tank it? Could they make people...
I think only people
could they make
going in droves.
Could they make some people not want to go to the Marvel movies because they're like, you know what, I'm sick of superheroes. Like, it's played out, and the ones I really... Because the thing is, there are enough people that really, really like Batman and Superman, but are settling for Marvel because they're doing it well.
I don't know. I don't see that happening just because competition generally will always, like if people look at DC and they say, wow, those movies are terrible, and, like, they keep making movies and not learning from their mistakes, and then you have Marvel fans... You're gonna have there are people that like just good movies in general. Then there are people that only like Marvel or DC, and then and there's all these different subgroups and stuff.
And then there's Zack Snyder, whatever category you put that guy in.
I don't know what he is, but and it's like I almost see it like it'll start making people like hostile. Like I see if the DC movies are really bad, all I see is you get more people that just like to pile on to how bad they are and like pick Marvel's side. I feel like
if you put this,
yeah, I do think it
like
could
a toxic community.
in the
really
long
think
run,
about like the
in the
reception
public
movies that
conscious.
are. Sorry, go ahead.
That was all fascinating. I learned so much in the last 5 seconds. We should always have one person lagging behind constantly. Steve, make whatever point you just made.
Okay, I was just going to say, if you combine this with Fantastic, because it's not that we have a bunch of bad superhero movies every year. We have maybe one that lags off compared to the rest every couple of years, right? But the public doesn't always see it that way. They remember the ones that stink, and sometimes they remember the ones that are legitimately great. So if you have Suicide Squad come out this year, and it's not good and people don't like it, then it's possible to create that fatigue. Part of the problem with this movie is, even if it breaks $1 billion, DC might still scrap some of their plans because it's not about making a lot of money. It's not about making this movie bring back its budget. It's about getting a return on this movie that's higher than they would have gotten if they just made Superman or Batman movies.
Exactly.
Like, if you can make a $100 million Batman movie that breaks $1 billion, why, in your sane mind, would you spend $400 million on Batman versus Superman when it makes the same amount?
Because you have to create consumer confidence. And you know, when you've got 41% on Rotten Tomatoes, even if this movie makes $1 billion, you are as nervous or more nervous than you were with the next one, with Justice League, than you were with this coming after Man of Steel.
I mean, when are they set to start filming Justice League? I heard like April.
It was supposed to start in April. We're not sure if it's going to be delayed now or not.
I mean, like, yeah, like how do you not delay that? Because like Wonder Woman, it's I think too late to cancel that movie. I mean, you've shot things for it.
Already started. Yeah.
You don't just stop. And it's like, oh God, if Suicide Squad comes out and it's bad, there's no way that it doesn't at least get delayed by like a year, if not 2.
But while I agree with Steve that it's not just about making money, when you have a movie that does that well opening movie and is better than your projections, no matter what the critics say, you're probably not going to start shutting anything down.
But
or
it
even
has to
thinking
keep that
about
up, right?
that.
Like,
That's my point. Is that
Look at the
but they're not going to do it this week. They'll wait until week 3 or 4. Is the point I'm making? Is that like
yeah, that's what I mean. It's like it doesn't matter that it breaks record now. Is that by the time it leaves theaters, it has has to justify making Batman and Superman as expensive as it is, as opposed to just making Batman.
But my point is, today is March 27th. They're going to start filming this, according to you guys, in April. When do you make the choice to delay it just based on criticism? Because you've got to wait till a weekend, right?
And it's even weirder because it's like the reason this movie even exists in the way that it does with some of the fake ideas that it thinks it's or that wants you to believe that it's about was because of the reaction to Man of Steel. What if Justice League becomes something completely different than it was originally intended to be right now because of the fan reaction to this movie?
Could be even worse.
It'll be just a domino effect of fans reacting and then them changing their plans.
It's like each movie is an apology for the previous film.
Yeah.
It's like Ninja Turtles. It's like Ninja Turtles 2014, except people care.
Yeah.
It's interesting too because I'm seeing in the news, or the geek news, I suppose, like people involved with these movies already starting to pivot in damage control for the other movies in the DC universe that they're in charge of. Like the director of the Aquaman movie was like, "Oh, don't worry, my movie's gonna be fun, guys. It's gonna have a fun tone. You'll laugh at this movie." And like,
hopefully they'll laugh with this movie because Dan laughed at Batman vs. Superman.
I did. So it's interesting that like already like people involved with the movies are like, well, even if I don't think this movie was garbage, people do, and I'm gonna have to exist with this as something to take off. I mean, the only thing that's set Aquaman-wise from Batman vs. Superman is that he likes to float in front of cameras for our benefit. But
and he has the scary red Superman eyes, but they're blue.
Yeah.
Well, he basically yelled at the camera to get off his lawn.
It looks so silly. They tried so hard to make him hardcore and cool, and he has his douchebag tattoos, and he's got his armor, and he looks ridiculous.
Yeah, it's just interesting to me that this seems like a paradigm shift similar to what happened with the New 52. It's like what happened with the comics is happening with their movies, where they tried to go all in on the self-serious, dark and gritty thing because they perceived it as being the popular trend, and they tried to ride it. Yeah. And then their work is critically lambasted, and then they're like, okay, we're just gonna do DC Comics now.
Can I just say? The problem with this film is not that it is dark or gritty, it's that it's not good. If this film was incredibly bleak and dark, but really well written and a good character drama, I wouldn't have a problem with it. I don't feel that a filmmaker should react to this going, oh, we should make a really fun movie that doesn't have any complex ideas or themes. The issue with this film is that it didn't have complex ideas or themes. Mm-hmm. It's not that it's dark.
No, but and I'm not saying that I agree with them that that's a way to fix the problem. I'm just saying that's the way they perceive the solution to the problem to be, you know?
Well, yeah, Eric, you do have people making this movie that should not be trying to force deep themes and ideas because they don't know how to write a movie like that. So if Zack Snyder's going to make a movie, I still say it should just be people hitting things and not tell a story, and that's immediately a better movie.
If you think about it, the optimistic turn on this is that if they do everything New 52, then he's perfect to adapt Justice League War.
That's true.
Oh God, no.
Yeah, but Manos, you could not have been looking at the thing with the parody and not thinking, holy crap, Justice League is just going to be Justice League War. Like you could.
I know. That's what I was thinking.
You had to have been thinking that. I can't.
So,
sorry. Manos, go ahead real quick.
Yeah, Dan made an interesting point. Like,
Zack Snyder is perfect to direct wrestling.
I agree. Lagging behind Eric.
Go ahead, Manos.
Dan made a good point, and I actually have been thinking about this. The films are kind of similar.
How are they going to stretch that 6 inches?
Shut up, Eric. Shut up.
Please stop talking.
Am I too late?
Manos is trying to make a point, and you're man, he's too late. Sorry, go ahead.
Anyway, Dan, you just brought up a cool point that there seem to be behaving in a way they're treating these characters very similar to New 52. It very much reminds me of New 52. in the same week that DC Comics itself almost has like moved on from New 52 and trying to
Because it
repair
feels so outdated. But we get
damage.
there, we're like, no, the comics, like, hopefully, the comics are good again, and you guys are doing the things when they were.
Yeah, the comics were leaving behind all that jazz, that superficial, dark and gritty stuff, which was dated anyway when they were doing it. And the
Because
film
it looked like the mid-90s. And mid-90s Marvel.
takes so long to.
When I was watching this movie, I felt like I was watching the Batman vs Superman movie I would have made when I was 13 and angsty, just because it was like even complete with cheesy like 90s heavy metal guitar riffs when people did superhero poses in the final fight.
I loved it.
Well, that's one.
I've been wondering if I would like this if I was 14.
Earlier, people kept asking why Wonder Woman didn't stab Doomsday with the kryptonite staff and
Right?
save
Yeah,
Superman.
Superman didn't have to die. You could have just
He didn't have to die. All you had to do was
Doomsday's butt.
Yeah.
Dude, all you have to do is play a game of NBA Jam and pass it off.
And I have a question about the Darkseid thing that you guys brought up earlier too. Like, so was Lex's entire goal in this movie to bring Darkseid here because he's an acolyte of him? Because he's yelling about Darkseid like coming and the bell being rung when he has boogers all over his face in the final scene.
Yeah, okay. I think I know what the answer to that is based off what I think Zack Snyder thinks that they gave us information.
Okay.
Zack
Enlighten.
Snyder thinks that Lex Luthor going into the weird pod room thing where Doomsday is born, he thinks that the scene where the computer says, here's a bunch of information about all these aliens, is enough to explain why Lex knows Darkseid, why Doomsday can be made with Lex's blood. I think that's his answer for everything.
But wasn't his plan to make all of the entire plot of the movie already in motion? Was it just a coincidence that he was setting all those gears in motion before?
I don't know. See, that's the thing, because
Well, and it doesn't explain that he's
has to
kind
take-
of xenophobic in scenes where he's xenophobic.
Yeah, why does he hate Superman so much if he's wanting to bring this other... unless the idea is supposed to be, see, Darkseid represents what I would think God is, because he's all-powerful and completely evil. And all you have to do is say that.
Or he's
That'll work.
supposed to be lying the whole time, and that's
I don't-
just something he's saying to try and convince people.
And it's also weird that Lex is like, you can either be all-powerful or all good, and you can never be both. And it's like, well, you have his weakness. He's not all-powerful. Does that mean that he's all good now, Lex? Huh? And it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, and then I don't even want to think about that stuff because I know the movie hasn't done that.
No,
and so then I'm
Lex
like,
is a different character every scene he's in.
is anybody going to mind if my superhero rewind on this is 6 minutes long?
No.
No,
That's-
because if you
Because I
watch
gave
the
Man of Steel
trailer,
too-
that's the movie at normal speed.
I gave Man of Steel too much credence and did an hour and 10 minutes on it. And after I've seen this movie, I am convinced that I spent too much of my life on that. And that this deserves about 6 minutes. Nobody quote me on that because I know that will be a longer review.
You could just
I'm
review how good the trailer is, and you've effectively reviewed the movie.
Oh, okay.
Or, yeah, you take out all the action scenes and then just watch review the non-action scenes in this movie. Like review.
You know,
make
I
like
should
a-
review them separately and put them out as separate videos. You're like,
Yeah.
this is Batman v Superman. So I want to say this real quick because you guys were talking about Aquaman earlier, and I didn't get to jump in on this. I can't condone taking kids to see this movie for a number of reasons that I won't get into, and I didn't take Jason, and he was so excited about this movie, and I feel really bad about it. But I don't feel right about it, but I'm imagining kids that did see it getting the Aquaman action figure after seeing this movie, so that they can reenact the one scene he's in.
I feel bad they have the Cyborg action figure. What do they do with that?
They didn't make one, did they?
Well, if there is just a Cyborg action figure in general, you want to pretend you're in Batman versus
No,
Superman.
no, it's a playset. It's half a body, and you put pieces on him.
It's a Play-Doh set. It's one of those like Play-Doh generator set things, right? Where like you put it in the molds and then you make the rest of the
What's
stuff.
awful about me lagging is sometimes I'm not.
Someone was
Yeah.
gonna say something.
Kids are gonna really enjoy like pretending they're dying on the like laboratory table behind them. It's like, okay, I'll be Cyborg and you be my dad, and you try to bring me back to life.
You be my dad. You be the scientist guy, Stephen Hamilton from first season of Smallville. That's who that was.
Yeah.
All right, you guys be the criminals. I'm not gonna be here, and just pretend I ran through really fast.
And you get the Batman figure. You're like, okay, I'm gonna run over everyone, but then I'm gonna have, but then you get to be Alfred and tell me about how I'm going too far branding people.
You know, it's so funny watching.
I'm be Batman. You be Superman. I'm gonna step on your throat.
Let me randomly cut your cheek for no reason. He's trying to shave him with a straight razor.
In the news
Yeah, you
today.
should have said that. You should have been like, see, I told you bleed, and Superman's like, I didn't hear that part.
Or he's like, women shave, men shave.
By the way, when he said that, when he was like, you're not even a man, I'm like, no one is a man in this movie. They're not real
To be fair, that
characters.
sounds like a Frank Miller line.
Yeah, I know, but Frank Miller, at least back before, the crazy Frank Miller books, he...
You mean before he was
those
consistently
characters,
good?
yeah, those characters would have... Well, no, that's a good point.
Anyway, you got me on that one.
Think of Iron Man 2, where Whiplash goes with the gold to bleed and stuff like that.
So we've been at this for an hour and a half. I said I'd cap it off at an hour and a half. We have answered 2 questions from the audience, and I said this wouldn't happen, but we have 7 people, and we have run the gamut on this, I think, pretty well. Let's rapid fire do 3 real quick, if that's even possible. Rasco, give us something interesting. See if you can find something we haven't talked about yet. I want to apologize to the audience for not having more discourse directly with you. We've never had a panel this big.
We will never do this again until Civil War.
No, we will. We probably will, but hopefully we'll maybe have a better handle on it. And we're getting a dynamic here with all of us here at once, like this. But this has been so much fun, you guys, and I just want to say thanks to the entire panel for all making it. This is really, really cool. Let's hear from Rasco. Rasco, give me something we haven't talked about.
Okay. Hopefully we haven't talked about some of this stuff because we've touched a lot of
I've seen
things.
a couple people mention Jimmy Olsen. Maybe we should.
Oh yes, we need to talk about that.
So a lot of people didn't pick up on that, and I saw it in the credits the first time around because I went ahead and stayed through the whole credits, and I was like, wait, he was in this movie? And then I remembered thinking toward the beginning, oh, there's a dude with a camera, maybe that's Jimmy Olsen, and I went, what? That's what?
Did Jimmy Olsen ever become a member of the CIA in the comics?
No, he did not.
That's the one thing he's never done.
He's had Superman's powers and everything, but no, he's never been in the CIA.
He's also Turtle Boy.
Yeah.
They should have done that and killed him.
That is what Zack Snyder refers to as having fun with the character.
Yeah, and what's so annoying about that is like, okay, if we go back to the scene in Man of Steel where their characters that we don't know anything about are almost about to be killed by the World Engine, and we have this like weird, sad, like, oh God, Perry White's trying to save girl underneath rubble. Guy from House of Cards who was in that scene, he's not in this movie. Why couldn't that guy have been Jimmy Olsen?
Yeah!
She is literally Jimmy Olsen, but not Jimmy Olsen. Like, why can't Jimmy Olsen be one of those? It's so annoying when Zack Snyder's
It's got 3 Jimmy Olsens!
Zack Snyder's like, I don't know, we laid out where we were heading. He just couldn't fit. We had to have House of Cards guy who's not here and girl that's Jimmy Olsen. But we couldn't fit Jimmy Olsen in.
So we thought we'd have fun with the character.
He needs to stop talking. They need to take...
Oh, he needs to have his mouth sewn shut like Deadpool and X-Men Origins.
Yes! Oh my God.
You guys, I love that nearly every article I'm finding about Jimmy Olsen in this is putting Jimmy Olsen in quotation marks.
Apparently, Jesse Eisenberg auditioned for Jimmy Olsen.
Yeah, that's part of what Zack Snyder was saying.
Yeah.
Because they thought it'd be funny if a famous person played Jimmy Olsen and then got murdered.
Yeah. And then not a famous person, just a nobody gets killed as Jimmy Olsen, and just makes it weird. Why is that
Jimmy never
cool?
called Jimmy?
There
What
is
person thinks that's fun?
I'm sure they didn't actually get this from this, but Steve is wrong. There was a place where he was a CIA agent in early Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen, somewhere, and I'm having a hard time finding exactly where that was, but I have confirmed that he was somewhere in the comics a CIA agent.
Okay, but did he get shot in the face?
No.
Because
Batman put it right between his eyes.
Like, oh my God,
Steve,
it's older. Then shoot him in the face. Just don't do it.
But Steve, it's an adaptation. You see, when you take something from comics to film, you have to change some things, and it just makes more sense to do that in a movie.
There's a
Steve,
quote from
I think you're
Rasco's
forgetting.
Dune I really want to say, but I don't think I could say it on Geekvolution.
Okay,
Yeah.
you guys ready for this? You guys ready
What's
for
that?
this craziness? There's a guy named James Olson, spelled Olson, who was chief of counterintelligence at CIA headquarters in Langley, Virginia at one time.
That's creepy.
In real life.
So we're in the Batman v Superman universe.
I just think that's...
That world.
I was hoping I
I'm
was
just
better
gonna
written.
hole up and hope I don't get run over by the Batmobile.
Oh, really?
We're in the train wreck now, guys.
Cap, if you think about it, this movie.
I just got that! I'm sorry, what, Steve?
If you think about it, this is actually Arkham Knight brought to life, where you're driving around murdering people and just not paying attention to it.
I didn't get to say this earlier. This movie, for me, was Watchmen meets 300 meets the Arkhamverse.
Yep.
Like, that's what it is. Because Wonder Woman is... Because Superman is Watchmen. Superman is Dr. Manhattan, except a lot scarier. I didn't think that was possible, but okay. And then...
Complexity.
Without the, yeah, exactly. Well, I'm not saying that Dr. Manhattan is a scary character in the sense that he's like trying to be evil. I'm just saying that like there's a really good case for you don't know if you can trust the guy. And then Wonder Woman is 300, and then Batman is the Arkhamverse. Like that's crazy.
And Lex
I wasn't
Luthor
excited
is a
about
Joel Schumacher villain.
Yes, he is. He is the Riddler. He's the Riddler. If the Riddler was Lex Luthor, it's really strange.
Yeah.
Can I talk about him? Can I talk about the Jolly Rancher scene?
No,
Eric,
That scene was so
Eric,
awkward.
I knew you would.
Years afterwards.
I want to talk about my theory about that scene.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay, so I have a theory about this scene. There's a thing that you do in film.
I got this theory about a scene. Here comes my theory about this scene.
There's a thing that you do in film to show that one character has power over another character, where you have the character eat off that person's plate of food. You show them eat their food to show that they have power over them. I think someone once told Zack Snyder this, and he half remembered and didn't understand it, and this scene is him attempting to do that.
yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, I mean, totally. That was a display of him having power.
Oh,
over
not
this.
dismissing Manos was. He's like, yes, obviously that's what happened, Eric. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Of course.
Of course.
By the way,
Rasco.
Wait, everybody's forgetting. You know, everybody thinks that Zack Snyder doesn't understand comics, but do you know Jimmy Olsen actually his portrayal was actually very accurate to a story arc they had in 1960 or something like that, and Jimmy Olsen, Superman's pal, where he was shot in the face, boy. Nobody remembers that.
So
Only Grant Morrison and Mark Wade.
So
Only
this
they remember it.
This must be some new definition of rapid fire that I wasn't previously aware of. Rasco, give me another question, sir.
Okay, the
Well,
writer's
it's rapid
quill.
fire, but it's in Zack Snyder's slow motion.
Okay, Rasco.
Since
Give
Batman
me another one. Yes.
Since Batman kills in BVS DOJ, I added the DOJ. Title this stream the BVS DOJ stream or Spoilercast. Does the rumor that since Batman kills in BVS, does the rumor about solo Batman film being Under the Red Hood seem less likely now? And if they do use that story for it, how does it work?
It doesn't.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's the answer. But
Eric actually sent me a message about that, like right before we started this. We're like, okay, if we do Under the Red Hood, then Jason Todd is just saying, why did you actively kill everyone except the Joker?
They can't have any argument. Jason Todd and this Batman are pretty much on the same page.
You know what it was? It was that the Joker's mom's name is Martha. So he couldn't.
Martha Napier.
So you guys have not, which is hilarious, Lo, because you don't know this, but in the Flashpoint universe, Martha Wayne is the Joker.
I do know that.
Oh, you do know that. Okay, I'm sorry. Forgive me. I'm going to stop assuming Lo doesn't know stuff because she reads 26 books a month now, and she's learning things. And,
she should have videos called Lo Knows Stuff about comics.
And then I'll do a really bad job of explaining the history of certain characters. It'll get tons of views because everyone will be really pissed at me.
You'll be like,
explain Hawkeye's history. Or Hawkman's history.
She'll be like, today I'm going to review Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen. Did you know that at one point he was a CIA agent and he was shot in the face? And he was shot in the face, boy.
I have it from a very reputable source that he was shot in the face, boy.
Yeah. From a very reliable source named The Real Manos on a live stream where he first found out about that and started making things up. So I've seen, you guys have probably seen these two interviews with both Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill and together, and neither of them are happy, right? And not just unhappy with the reaction. I don't think this movie is what either of them thought they were making, and I think that and Cavill in particular, like there's that viral video now with Hello Darkness, My Old Friend, and with Ben Affleck being like he just won't even say anything while Henry Cavill's talking, and then finally he just goes, yeah, I agree, and then like he won't say anything else. It's sad, but and what's funny is I couldn't find the real interview after that went viral. I was like, where is it? I want to hear what he said. Well,
that's what he said. What actually happened is Henry Cavill had this very long answer about the idea that
I know, but I didn't get to hear what Henry Cavill said.
I agree.
Yeah, but I'm just saying I didn't get to hear what Henry Cavill said because I couldn't find the interview.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Is the point I'm making. But anyway, so Cavill, in another part of the same interview that I was able to find, but not that clip, was I said that he was asked if he's protective of Superman now, and he said, "Oh yes, very much so." He said, and I'm hoping, I don't know what exactly the quote was, but he basically said, and he's hoping to get to play the version from the comics. Like, they're not happy. Like, he's waiting for Superman to turn into Superman still, just like the rest of us.
Well, when you think about it, how many scenes was Ben Affleck on set where Batman murders people? Like, most of that's CGI. Like, he probably didn't even know.
That's my point, is that, like, we're making too big of a deal out of Batman killing people because we're not supposed to think that happened.
In the fight scene, he like shoots people with machine guns and stuff in the dream sequence.
But in the
dream. Being that I am someone that is not as familiar with Batman as I assume a lot of you are,
more than I thought.
I didn't go into the movie like necessarily expecting him not to kill people, just because I'm just not as familiar. Even though I know that's his one rule, whatever. What really turned me off from the movie is there's a scene when he is going to save Martha Kent, and he jumps up from the like ground or whatever, and he does all these like gadgets that disable everyone's guns. And I was like, oh, cool. This is like, I know this about Batman. Like, he uses gadgets, right? That's what Batman does. And then all of a sudden, we switch to a shot of the camera on the ground, and it's obviously Batman pummeling a guy into the camera. Like, this is like a visceral like fight shot, and I was just like, all right, I'm done with this. Like, I can handle
by exploding a man on fire right next to Martha Kent.
Yeah, I can handle him killing people. I think just because I don't really know any better, I don't have a lot of history with the character. But when you take a character that I am supposed to be rooting for and is supposed to be like a main protagonist of this movie, and then you have him doing this like extremely brutal way of beating someone down, I was immediately just like, all right, I'm done.
Steve, but I gotta ask Steve about this because that was essentially an Arkham Predator mission, yeah?
That's what it was. See, this is the one last thing I would want to say.
Normalizes criminals in that, right? Like now Lo's right. Hitting him repeatedly was really unnecessary, but Lo, in the Arkham games, you'll pounce down on a guy, you'll hit him in the face, and then he'll go down. And I don't like Batman less because he's doing that in that game, because one thing I like about it is that I actually buy that guy stays down.
But Lo has a point here, because the problem with that fight scene, as cool as it is to see Batman actually move and fight someone, the problem with that scene is every time he's taken down, it's because he's too distracted beating the crap out of someone for too long.
Yeah.
Like, as he's beating that guy down 3 times, he gets someone sneaks up on him. As he beats someone into the wall, someone sneaks up on him. He's too actively into the violence. And this is a thing that really bugs me about the movie, and part of why I hate it so much is this is ammo for people that don't like superheroes. If you don't like superheroes because they're moral exemplars that tell you solve problems with your fists, then this is proof of that. Everyone solves problems with their fists.
But this is great for people that think Superman's a wuss and that Batman should kill people.
Exactly.
Those people are going to love this movie.
Exactly. Like, this is a movie that illustrates everything wrong with superheroes just as a concept.
Frederick Wortham would write a whole new book just based on this movie.
Yeah, and I might agree with him, is the problem.
Rasco, let's get one more real quick. We are of course well over time, but this is too much to talk about, too much fun, so we're doing it. Go ahead.
Okay, this is from Steely Man. I liked Lex in this. Lex's god complex was perfectly crazy and similar to Justice Lord's.
I just need to know more about where it came from is all. He's got a complex about his dad, that's all we know.
I feel like that's accurate to maybe a scene. He has a different motivation every scene we see him. Sometimes it's his dad, sometimes he's xenophobic, sometimes it's because he has this complex about how you should be smart to have power, and if you have power and you're not smart, that doesn't make sense.
But Eric, the 3 things you just said can all go together, right? That could all come from his dad. His dad was a powerful guy. His dad felt like a godlike character. He abused his power in ways. I'm sure is supposed to be the idea. Like that all can go together. I don't think his motivation is different scene to scene. I don't think they let us know what the connective tissue is.
Is there any point to making him the son of Lex Luthor and not the son, and not actually like Lex Luthor?
Not really, except that they're doing Death of Superman, and that's a Lex 2 in that, but it has nothing to do with this. And that guy was a clone that turned out to not be a clone, but was actually the real Lex Luthor in the first place.
Well, and they kept saying that he was going to be like Mike Zuckerberg, right? Like that's why they cast Jesse Eisenberg, is because he was going to be this young, hip, modern Lex Luthor. As written, he could have been 30. He could have been 40. He could have been anyone. I don't feel like there's anything about this Lex Luthor that is particularly hip and modern.
Yeah, and it was like they said it was like his company was kind of like a Facebook or like a Google company type of thing, where it's like
we don't even talk about what
it
it is.
Like, yeah, we get nothing about that. Like you can see it when he's playing basketball and the most like hilarious like, oh hi, like.
Does Google have alien ships? Is that where Google Glass came from?
Is that where the Chromecast thing came from? Like, do the aliens use that to like broadcast things on screens across the galaxy? Like,
let's see. Did I mention his speech at the party? Did I talk about that?
The worst
that was awkward
of all time.
You know what that
wasn't any more
reminded me
awkward
of?
than George
You know what that reminded me of when he got up and started talking? It reminded me of just being in a comedy club on open mic night and somebody sucks on stage.
I
thought maybe they were building something with that.
Me up the wall. Because he mentions Prometheus, because once again, I think someone once told Zack Snyder that the Prometheus story has something to do with humans and gods.
He thought it was the Alien Prometheus movie. The Ridley
Oh, yeah!
He thought he was talking about that.
And then like the whole Zod flew too close to the sun thing. Do you kind of is Zod like your ideal god for some reason? Do you even know enough about Zod? Well, I guess you do because you got downloaded from that ship. But then
even if you look at what Zod did in Man of Steel, how is he flying too close to the sun?
I don't know what that even means.
Like, what is he doing?
Yeah, it
All
doesn't
he
make any
wants to
sense.
do is get his world back. How is that flying too close to the sun?
Yeah,
Nothing that is he's supposed
Yeah,
to be
he
different
thought that was
after
the
he
Terrence
gets the
Stamp. Like, you
information.
know what happened? The ship downloaded him with Christopher Reeve's mythology. That's
That was a pretty easy paycheck for Michael Sheehan's performance.
Who's lambasting this movie?
Yeah, I love his quote about how he just doesn't care and Superman's a serial killer.
He's only rooting for Superman because, well, he killed me, so I feel like I owe the guy that much.
He did fly too close to a sun, the last son of Krypton.
You know what would have been great if Lex couldn't get permission to take Zod's body, and maybe, I don't know, maybe they weekend Birdie so he could put a blue jumpsuit on him and sunglasses and walk him out.
Oh, can I complain about a kind of minor but maybe major thing? I really liked the woman they cast as Mercy. I thought she had great presence. I kept waiting for her to beat up Bruce Wayne, and then she explodes.
Yeah.
I was kind of
because
bummed.
we can't let
I really
Superman
liked
has
her.
to survive. Everyone has to die. I can't believe Perry White survived.
Bruce Wayne's excuse in that scene
You write this.
I'm sorry, what?
when Mercy tails Bruce Wayne into that place where he was hacking Lex's data, Bruce's excuse was terrible. Like, anyone could have seen through that.
This isn't the bathroom. This room
Was
filled
it
with
just
wires.
terrible? She looks like she doesn't believe him and then leaves him there.
And then later, if memory serves, she sees him again in the same place later and does nothing. I don't know if I'm right about
That's
that.
what I was waiting for to beat him up. I was waiting for that to be the reveal where she does martial arts at him and there's a little fight scene where you're like, oh, she's tough, and it didn't happen.
Why was Wonder Woman at that place with?
I don't know.
Because
Who is Wonder Woman in this movie? Is she rich? Is she important?
She couldn't have gone there with the intention of stealing that information because she doesn't know how to acquire it. Because she doesn't even know how to acquire it once she has the drive.
She must have been invited, because when you need to go steal things in this movie, you get invited to go to their house.
And then
Also, if Bruce is just stealing the information off the drive, he's just making a copy, right? So giving Wonder Woman an email of the picture doesn't solve her problem. It just makes it worse because now it's on the internet.
Yeah.
No, it solves Snyder's problem in figuring out some way to introduce those characters to us and get us excited for Justice League. That's the only point to any of that. So, anyway, Rasco, at the risk of this going a lot longer, it hopefully won't. Give us one more, and then we'll wrap up real quick with some closing thoughts. Go ahead.
Oh God, I don't know if I can find a question, but I have a.
There's no question. No one wants to talk to us.
I can't find one. No one's asked one in quite a bit, actually.
That's because we haven't been answering them.
Yeah, go ahead, Rasco. What do you want to say?
I was just gonna because I couldn't find a question. The ending of the movie, just the very ending with the dirt moving off of the coffin. Do we think that Superman is literally alive, there, and then he's
he
now
shouldn't
alive?
be, but that's probably what folks, his power set doesn't do that.
I think a shaman
you can't be
said Africa would never let him die.
You can't be he's floating now. Superman. Although the way their shooting off effect works, they do sort of that. Am I wrong about that? Don't they sort of do the Smallville thing where he kind of has a takeoff thing where the air lifts?
The dirt rises. So the implication from the end of that scene is that he's about to take off.
Okay.
He's
The
alive.
dirt rises. Well then,
It's just stupid. Because the next movie has to open. Then 2 minutes after the funeral, he just busts out of the coffin. That's literally what happened.
By the way, Deadpool ruined every Superman landing in this movie for me.
The next Deadpool movie needs to be Deadpool versus Cable, and then needs to be a giant parody of this movie.
Dawn of X Factor.
Deadpool has more morals in that movie than Batman does in this.
Yeah.
And I never thought I'd see the day where I have to objectively say the Deadpool movie was a lot better of a story than the Batman v Superman movie, and look, this was my most anticipated movie for the year, and there was a time where I wasn't sure about it, and I was I was certainly on the fence, and then they really turned me around with some of those with some of the images that they showed us and stuff, and I'm always a wait and see kind of guy. I try not to be like to in either direction go, oh, I know what this movie is going to be with trailers, because as I always say, they're not there to tell you what the movie is. They're there to tell you to go. But on the other hand, they showed us a lot of the movie, right? Like we saw so much with this that it was hard to believe that I'd go see it and it wouldn't be close to what I thought it was, and that it wouldn't be and that it wouldn't make sense, and then it didn't make sense. And it hurts my feelings, because this was, and this was a lot of people's most anticipated movie this year. And Deadpool was better. And we have now had two movies that are going to really change the face of the future of superhero movies, hardcore. And that's fascinating to me. I was hoping that both of them would do it in a positive way. And, this could still, in a backdoor sort of way, if they kind of get their act together, but I don't know, guys. It's crazy. Let's go for open or closing thoughts. Something that you haven't gotten to say throughout this that you might want to mention, or just your final word on this movie as you feel about it, having seen it the 1 or 2 times, or the 3 times if you're Steve and you bought too many tickets over the weekend. Let's begin.
Not going to do that again, are you?
Let's begin with. Sorry, what?
I said you're not going to do that again, are you?
Oh, I'm not.
Let's begin with Curious Lo, because she has been too much of a spectator this whole time. Lo, your final thoughts.
I really enjoyed the time or two that Superman called Lois Low. It made me extremely happy because it was like Superman was talking to me, but then I was scared because he's crazy. There we go. Somebody else.
Steve, what are your final thoughts, sir?
Final thoughts. This might be. It's probably not objectively the worst, but it's my least favorite comic book film ever.
Wow. Is part of that anticipation that they turned you around and thought maybe you did a good movie?
It's not anticipation at all. It's that after not reading comics for a few months, like in single issues at all, and not being into the industry, and then getting a movie that confirms everything wrong with superheroes as a concept for me 3 times in a row, I can't stand it anymore. Like it's a movie that like killed my joy for a while, and for that it's the least favorite.
Wow. So Steve just quit the channel. He's done.
No, I didn't quit the channel. He's
just not doing anything superheroes.
I'm not talking about. Oh, okay. Well, that's all right. I guess we do other things here. Stay here, there. Yeah.
I got a year's worth of reviews.
Yeah, he doesn't actually have to do new reviews.
No, that's true.
Planned out.
Rasco, what are your final thoughts?
Coming out of the movie, the saddest aspect is that I originally, when Man of Steel came out, I wasn't totally won over on Henry Cavill as Superman, and this is strange because this movie did a lot of other horrible things, but one of the things it did was I like Henry Cavill now as Superman, and I love Ben Affleck. That from day one I thought that Ben Affleck being cast as Bruce Wayne was a great idea. It's sad that they're wasted though on this continuity of films. It's so sad because it's like that's like a once in a generation type of like perfect casting scenario, and it's like, oh man, it's really sad. This movie made me sad.
Gabe and I went to a bar after this and just drank and talked about it. I'm not even joking. That's literally what we did.
That's kind of what I did alone in my room.
I'm going to go to a bar by myself after I talk to Steve about it. Manos, what are your final thoughts, sir?
I'm gonna have to go with. Yeah. Although, on the other hand, I'm not looking forward to Zack Snyder's Spider-Man movie, in which we'll have a scene where Uncle Ben tells Peter, screw responsibility.
Blame everyone else.
Sacrifice yourself, and then they'll think you were a good hero, regardless of whatever your moral values actually were. Like,
but his
by the way,
right off the page.
but this is something that I just got to say this real quick because I forgot about this. So I guess the idea is supposed to be that even though Superman is not really embodying the values that we think Superman is supposed to at any point, and we're not making a good argument for that really because it's so inconsistent, and it feels like we're supposed to get there at some point. And then he dies at the end. The idea is supposed to be that he sacrifices himself so he's still a hero. But we wouldn't trust these kinds of powers with the guy who sacrifices himself to save the world, who seems almost clinically insane at the end of Independence Day. That shoots himself up into the ship and blows it up. Like that doesn't make that guy worthy to have Superman's powers. I just wanted to throw that out there. Dan, what are your final thoughts, sir?
This is probably one of the worst movies I've ever seen in the theater before. I regret going to see it twice. I'm
sorry, Dan.
Yeah, no, I mean it's fine. I had a hoot watching it. I mean, like a lot of you guys seemed like it was like soul crushing for you, and like when you mentioned the Uncle Ben thing, that I would understand, like as Zack Snyder said in an interview, like, in Kraven's Last Hunt, Spider-Man shoots someone in the face, so that's
justify anything in any movie now by just saying that character shot someone in the face before.
Yeah,
Remember when Spider-Man says, everyone thought my mother was crazy, and then takes Kraven out?
Yeah, so, I don't know. I don't really have any more thoughts on this movie other than don't waste your money on this. It's not. I'd wait till it comes on FX.
And it will be on FX.
A lot.
Eric wants you to see Eric. Dan thinks you should wait and watch the clipped up censored version on television with commercial interruptions.
Oh.
No, yeah, I agree.
That's basically what you said. And that's just hilarious. No,
I am just like Superman, okay?
Eric, what are your final thoughts?
There is no possible way that moving forward from here with Zack Snyder in charge that it's going to get better. When you listen to this man talk, he doesn't understand anyone's criticisms. So I'm hoping we just steer into this curve. I'm hoping Justice League, they're just trench coats, shotguns, bug smasher tattoos. Just let's go real with this. Let's get nuts.
You want to get nuts? Come on!
Also, if the Wonder Woman movie is as fun as that picture looks, I'm really excited for it.
And that might make sense, because somebody else is making it.
That's right. Here's the thing, I'm still excited about the Wonder Woman film, so, it hasn't damaged that for me.
If Wonder Woman's good, let's just give the whole franchise to the director of that movie.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see a cultural shift where Wonder Woman replaces Superman in popularity because of these films.
It's good. Yeah.
I'd be on board with that.
They haven't done anything yet to make her look morally ambiguous, but then they haven't done anything with her yet. No, I didn't expect any real characterization.
Well, she does walk away from that woman on the plane who's just like, Miss Prince, we're about to take off, and she just dramatically keeps walking.
It's a little different than shooting a bunch of guys.
It's just a little insensitive.
Eric and I had that conversation the other night where he was looking for a place where Wonder Woman was a jerk face because everyone else is, and he found it. Yeah, it was like everyone's a jerk in this movie, but except for Wonder Woman. Wait a minute, there's this one moment where she has to do it too.
Yeah, I think I'm excited for the rest of the movies. Like Aquaman, I hope that movie gets made, and
yeah,
I would be excited for the Flash, but when he shows up, that whatever thing he's wearing looks terrible. So.
Yeah, that weird Iron Man armor thing.
That looks like what I would have expected a Flash costume to look like on the CW right after Smallville.
It's weird because he has this like armored thing on his face that like lifts up.
And then lifts back down for no reason. Like there's not a reason that it goes up and down.
Yeah. So real quick, my final thoughts are I really enjoyed this and didn't understand why, and now I understand why, and it's for all the reasons it doesn't work, which is really strange. And I don't know if I can watch it and have a good time with it again, even knowing that it's not, objectively a good movie and what I want to see moving forward. And one thing that I'm really disheartened about is that it's this really adult superhero thing and thing with Superman and Batman, of all people, that I can't take my kids to, and that it doesn't justify being that dark. Make that movie, fine, but there's no good reason that this movie really has to be like that. And it's that same problem that Eric and I have complained about forever with the DC direct-to-video movies, animated movies. I have heard people say that this is like a live-action one of those. Eric, would you agree with that? I don't know that they're off base on that.
No, I absolutely agree. Somehow at 2 hours and 40 minutes, it feels like it's super condensed and doesn't actually have time to deal with any of the things it's setting up. And nothing really makes sense, and everyone's kind of hardcore PG-13 because it's cool.
The other thing, at the very least, make this R and just go with rated R. At the very least, please do that. But I think. But the other thing I want to mention, just because I didn't get a chance to say it earlier, is that the advertising was really strange with this one, and they went too far in showing us too much. And I'm not saying this would have fixed the movie at all, but Zod being Doomsday should have been a big reveal, and we shouldn't have known
Doomsday should have been a big reveal.
And Doomsday should have been a big reveal. The fact that Superman actually sort of dies was a thing that surprised me and blindsided me, but I really wish that we hadn't known about it, because the thing is, it should have been, and there's no talk about this, of course, I got excited when Steve and I were speculating about this with early trailers. I was excited about when we first saw Doomsday. I was excited about the potential that Zod would become Doomsday, or not even when we first saw him, when there was rumors about it, because I was like, wouldn't it be really cool if that's like this big consequence to what happened to Man of Steel, and he's got to really face up to the fact that he's not the real Superman, and now he gets it. And there's no talk about that. I don't even think there's any reason to believe that Superman knows for sure that Doomsday is Zod.
He doesn't.
So, he wouldn't even put that. He would never put that together. This should be a big consequence to that collateral damage that he's not dealing with. But of course, again, Snyder is understanding that criticism, so we're not doing that. They gave away too much. That hurts the movie really hard. But it's still. I don't think you guys would have liked it anymore, even if you didn't know.
I don't think Batman knows that assassin janitor is KG Beast either.
No, he doesn't. He murdered.
I didn't know that's who that was.
Yeah, he's KG Beast.
Oh, really? Okay. I didn't know.
Also, is Lex Luthor's janitor his head assassin, or is his head assassin his janitor?
One thing I have to say is that I am really excited to take at least some of you guys and do the commentary on this movie.
All of us, all seven.
All 7 of us, yeah. Well, folks, that about wraps it up for me. I want to say thanks a lot to our panel for being here with me and chatting about the movie as extensively as we got a chance to do. It was absolutely delightful, as much as the movie has somewhat crushed my soul. And I appreciate that I finally have had the opportunity to unite the 7. So that's wonderful.
And we did it before DC. We got that one poster. We've done it before them.
So cool of so many of you for joining us live, and if you're watching this after the fact, of course, thanks a lot for doing that as well. We will see you again later this week for lots more videos, and I am still kind of, sort of on hiatus, although you can't tell because I keep showing up and doing things. But this week I won't be making as much as I had the last couple days, and then we should be right back to stuff right after that. So anyway, thanks a lot for watching. I was Captain Logan, and this was Steve Baxi.
Good night, everybody.
The Curious Low.
Good night.
Our official chat moderator, Jackson Rasco.
What are you waiting for?
The real Manos.
Hi, I'm the real Manos.
Dan Torrey.
That farm kick.
What?
And
Exactly.
Farm Cake.
I think
Farm
Dan has
Cake.
Farm.
and finally, for the first time on one of our live shows, Brown Coat Eric.
I don't know what that means.
You don't know what Brown Coat Eric means? That's you.
Oh my God, we've been talking to a fake Eric this entire
Is he
time.
that delayed?
Well, no, that's what
Is he that? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know what you. Brown Coat Eric.
I'm that delayed.
I don't know what that means. And once again, I'm Captain Logan. We've got to get going. The bells are ringing.
And they can't be unhooked.
No. No.
Ding, 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 ding.